Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Roll Plus Bond 72-hour charity stream raising money for Risis. We are going to be playing Beam Saber, which is a game made by me. I'm Austin Ramsey. My pronouns are he and him. And I will be your GM and host for this evening. I am joined by Devin.
Hey, I'm Devin. My pronouns are he, him. I'm at Devin Decibel on Twitter, and you can check out the music that I made for the splash screen of this 2772-hour stream at devindecibel.bandcamp.com. And my pronouns are
Thank
he,
you
him.
so
I don't know
much.
if I said that already.
Well, thank you. Also with us is Cole.
Hey, I'm Cole. I use they, them pronouns. You can find me erratically on Twitter at Breathing Dreams.
Great. Also with us is Maddie.
Hi, I'm Maddie. You can call me Madeline, Mads, Mad5. I use she, her pronouns. I don't have a Twitter to plug, but I do just want to plug the amazing Beam Saber Kickstarter that's coming out tomorrow. It's gonna be so rad. Sorry, I know this is unorthodox, but I love this game. Reading it is so sweet. There's so many nice little moments. I'm looking forward to playing it today.
Aw, thank you. And last but certainly not least, we've got Brendan.
Hi, my name is Brendan McLeod. I use he, him pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at _Sulcata or the D&D campaigns that I did on Twitch at We Are Foxhound.
Great. I think I forgot to mention that my Twitter handle is at @notanin. And if you want to check out the Beam Saber Kickstarter, you can find that at tinyurl.com/BeamSaberKickstarter. But that is not why we are here today. We are here today to raise money for Risis, as I said at the top. And if you don't already know, Risis is the largest immigration legal services nonprofit in Texas. It focuses on underserved immigrant children, families, and refugees. It was founded in 1986 as a refugee aid project by community activists in South Texas. Risis works to defend the most vulnerable among us through our crisis management, legal services, social services, and advocacy work. If you want to know more about them, you can find out at risestexas.org or on Twitter at risestexas. That's RAICES Texas. Okay, so who wants to tell us about their character? Actually, let's just go over what the squad is first. So, y'all are playing the Consulate, which is a squad that's about negotiations and diplomacy and also subterfuge and spying. But that's not how y'all decided to frame your squad as. You framed yourselves as independent peace brokers. I believe the term battlefield mediators was used when we were coming up with the squad.
Yup.
Yeah, so y'all are Amity Incorporated with a sly reputation, making your home in an abandoned post office. Which is pretty great. So, Devin, why don't you tell us about your character?
I am playing Whimsy Wandering Wilder. She is a Norish, former aristocrat. The Nor are sort of a sect of humanity that, they believe they become the strongest of humanity through making hard choices. And her family wasn't able to make the hard choice to get some terrorist out of a large arcology that they governed, and as a result, they were deemed weak, and their titles were stripped, and their assets were confiscated. And she was in art school at the time. She's very into fine art, both painting and sculpture. And she was kind of forced to quit art school, and then had to be conscripted into the military to make it by. And her call sign as a robot pilot is acrylic.
And what playbook are you using?
I am playing the Scout.
Great.
She's sort of an archer and sniper.
Cool. Maddie, why don't you tell us about your character?
Sure. His name is Wyndham Davy, call sign baby. He's made his peace with it. It's what everybody calls him now. No matter how many times he corrects them down at the bar, it's always, "Oh, here's baby. He'll give you a lift." I used the playbook for the technician. Although to be honest, I stole quite a lot of stuff out of the Ace playbook. Um, but uh, there's some really great there's some really stuff in the technician that sparked off a lot of ideas. And he, as a young student, he was a geologist before the war. He was doing some field work out on a remote mountaintop, and then his bosses left him there. So he was abandoned in the woods, and he made his way back to civilization eventually after a starvation diet of bitter greens and reindeer moss. Once he got back to some mountainside towns, he started scavenging, engineering, and building mechs. And yeah, he gave a lot of people rides and put in a lot of time in his mech. Spent a lot of time at the lab testing out new armor techniques. And lately, he's back in the city, lending a hand with Amity Incorporated. And one of these days, he's going to get that pencil pushing empire jerk that left him out on the mountain.
All right.
I like that so
Brendan?
much. I like
go
that so
ahead.
much of the Sunday block of streams is like really wholesome, really uplifting kind of games. And our Pilots and War game literally starts with a baby being abandoned in the woods.
How grim.
Seriously. None more
Brendan,
why.
why don't you tell us about your character?
Absolutely. I'm playing Seven Hells. He, him pronouns. I'm using the soldier playbook. Seven Hells is a big man with a big voice and a big personality with a big appetite. He wanted to be a chef. He was conscripted into the army. He suffered some pretty bad losses in his first go around, where a lot of his squad was destroyed around him. Sort of came out of it a little shell shocked. Spent a number of years as a mercenary and eventually wound up with Amity, working as sort of a bodyguard for the people that actually do the deal making. His call sign is Saint Bernard. He pilots the Jericho, which is a big night mech with a big shield. And he's determined to make sure that no one else gets hurt while he's on watch.
Great. And Cole, tell us about yours.
I'm playing Mina Malkoha, she, her pronouns. Her call sign is Starling. I'm playing the Envoy playbook, and she was born as a native to this world in a region where the Jovangelian Empire liked picking up young and young indigenous people and making them be companions to their children. So she grew up in a noble's estate and got increasingly dissatisfied with this, especially as she realized that her noble patrons were in charge of war and war crimes. So that's not great. When she was 18 and freed from that particular arrangement, she went on to Journey City, where she's been working with the refugee resettlement, and she's seeing if Amity Incorporated can help with making more peace in general, and especially making things better for the civilians whose lives are impacted by the war.
Great. Well, I mean, not great, but you know what I mean. Interesting characters all
She's
around.
trying.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the mission that y'all are going to be tasked with, I suppose we'll catch up with the squad in their forward operating base, the abandoned post office. Where are each of you when the camera comes and finds the squad? Maddie, where's baby?
Yeah, that's easy for me. You can find him in the lab. He's tinkering, he's working on some armor. There's definitely, the like a few old-fashioned spark machines in the background.
Acrylic, where are you?
I think she hangs out on the roof sometimes. I think she has a bunch of like random like sculptures and creations up there. She feels like that's a good space to like, get messy with paint and like clay and stuff like that.
Nice. Where's Starling at?
I think Starling's like probably in an office, like sorting like mail or like looking like looking things up on on like the internet equivalent. Honestly, like just keeping an eye on like what's going on, like wanting to know what's going on in the city and what sort of information is coming in.
Mm-hmm. All right, and where's Saint Bernard?
Oh, in the kitchen, without a doubt. Saint Bernard is making like a huge pot of bolognese sauce. Probably has like some crooner or something like that playing on the sound system, singing along badly, taking a big pull from a bottle of bottom of the shelf wine before dumping the rest of it into the pot and stirring it all together to simmer for several hours.
You always drink or you always cook with wine, and sometimes it even goes in the food.
I mean, it really depends on what came home with the groceries. I mean, if you haven't had beer tomato sauce, then Seven Hells will make sure that at some point you're going to have beer tomato sauce.
Hey, everyone else, is is Seven Hells a good cook or just the cook?
He's a good cook.
He is a good cook.
I think he sometimes
Whimsy
gets a
grew
little
up.
experimental, but I think he genuinely does have the skills for it.
I think Whimsy grew up with some of the like finest like chefs that you can hire. So I think she thinks it's charming.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, without a doubt, Wyndham never leaves any food on the table. It is always gone.
To be clear, I don't think cooking with unorthodox stuff is like a troll or anything like that. I think it's more just what we can afford that particular week.
And what's available, no doubt.
Yes, absolutely.
With rationing and such, that affects everyone.
Welcome to our game of Stew Pot. I'm Brendan.
Surprise! So, actually, on that note, what are Saint Bernard's beliefs about the rest of the squad?
Okay, Saint Bernard's beliefs are. Make sure I've got them in front of me. I believe, I will never admit it, but I believe acrylic is a better pilot than me. I believe Starling has what it takes to make sure that the war is, that we can navigate the war, and they must be protected at all costs. And I believe that Baby's talents shouldn't be squandered in war. They don't belong here.
Great. Speaking of Baby, what are his beliefs?
So let's see. For Mina, she puts herself in the crosshairs to avoid bloodshed, so I will support her endeavors. For Whimsy, she isn't going to make it out of this war because she's too headstrong. And for St. Bernard, he handles his vehicle well enough, but I could beat him any day in a straight shot.
What are Starling's beliefs?
Saint Bernard shows his emotions so easily, I sometimes feel like he's hiding something. And it scares me how well Whimsy has turned her artist skills towards violence. Last but never least, Baby's a good, if somewhat withdrawn, friend.
And Acrylic, what are your beliefs?
I worry how Mina will fare when words are not enough. I respect Seven's instincts. Wait, no, where is it? Okay, I respect Seven's instincts to protect, but he's on the path to martyrdom. And Wyndham is clever, but needs to embrace his imagination to truly innovate.
Love to have opinions about other people's art. Okay, so Starling, since you're in the office at the computer, you're definitely the one closest when the radio starts to beep, signaling that you've got an incoming message.
Okay.
So you pick up, and it's Raymond Bone, who is your contact with the teachers union, and he says, "Starling, is that you?"
Yes. Something happening?
Yeah, not much time for pleasantries, unfortunately. Is the rest of the Amity at hand?
I'm gonna like activate like intercom. I'm sure that we have something of that sort, and say, I know they're around the base. I can get a hold of them quickly.
Good, good, good. All right. So here's the situation. We've got some reports that have come in from southeast of Journey City, around in the area that's controlled by the Nourish, and it's looking to be a confusing situation down there, which is why we want you to go and check it out. There's a. Do y'all know the Great Crimson Brigade?
I, the player, do not off the top of my head know them. I fully believe that Mina knows more than I do.
Fair. Yeah, so the Great Crimson Brigade are a sort of ragtag crew that famously managed to steal the only mobile fortress
Oh, those
on
guys.
on the continent of Isia. It's a small continent, keep in mind.
Uh-huh.
And so they stole that right out from under the Jovangelian Empire. And then they just sort of disappeared with it, which was mighty impressive considering how
Mhm.
big a mobile fortress is.
Okay. So Mina
and
would, So Mina would say something like, they have that fortress, right? I thought, do people know where they are now? Last I heard, everyone was looking for them.
Yeah, they turned up southeast of the city, and we only found out about that because a runner came in and told us that it's moving and it's on a course with a town that we've invested some time and effort into, a small town known as Skoko.
Okay.
Yeah, we
That
need
doesn't
you.
sound good.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like it's gonna be good.
No, it's unclear why they're moving there, but the trouble is going to follow in their wake no matter what happens, no matter their intentions. We need you to go and stop them from wrecking the town, whether it's intentionally or otherwise.
Okay. Well, that our job description. That's well within it.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Well, we'll try and scrape together something to pay you with, but uh, you know what it's like out
Yeah.
here.
Times are hard for everyone, but you
Yeah,
do good work. So,
appreciate that. I'm a very busy man, but if you have any questions about the situation, I'll give you whatever info we have. But unfortunately, it's not a whole lot.
yeah, I figured. Um, you just know that the fortress is on the move. Is that right?
Yeah,
No detail.
it's
How long do you think there is between before it will get to Skoko?
just a couple hours, not much more.
Damn. Okay. Is Skoko known for anything that you think may make it important, or is it just in the way?
Well, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, I think. Well, we've part of the reason that we have this information is because we've been investing in it, like I said, trying to rebuild the municipal infrastructure of the town. Figured we'd start small rather than trying to tackle all of Journey City. Build up a bit of goodwill. It also has a bit of an advantage because it's not actually in any of the off-world or held territory. It's located on the isthmus between Taijil and the Nourish-controlled regions. So it has, I suppose, a degree of strategic value, but I'm not really a military man myself, so I don't know what purpose it could hold.
That's all right. Whatever information you have, we're happy to have it. Okay.
Of course.
That's all I can think of right off the top of my head. If we think of more questions as we prep to head out, can we contact you again and ask any other questions that come to mind?
Absolutely. I'll keep myself on standby.
Great. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
So, the call drops, and everyone heard this over the intercom. Now is the time for y'all to gather information if there's stuff you want to try and find out before you launch. But remember, this game has flashbacks, so if there's something that you forget and then think about later on, you can spend stress to do that.
Could we reasonably go to the area where this is happening, like beforehand? Or is that something we won't have time for?
Basically, once you go there, you can get there ahead of the mobile fortress and do some investigation, but you won't have time to like go there and then come back to Journey City.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm curious as to whether or not the Great Crimson Brigade might have any connections to groups in the Nourish Autonomous Region to see if we might be facing more than one squad while we're there.
Okay. How are you gonna try and find this out?
That is a great question. I think this might be like tapping into old mercenary network of like calling a friend who knows a guy who has a pal who has a friend, that kind of thing. In order to try and see, like, those guys that made off with the mobile fortress, they have friends in the Norse, something like that. So this might be a look at my sheet and decide what they use.
Well, let's go over to the play screen.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna be rolling some dice soon. So, what are you gonna roll?
I don't think this is survey necessarily, because this is more like observing a situation rather than like a physical area or something like that.
Yeah.
I guess if I'm okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this more as I'm calling in old favors with contacts. Like people don't necessarily like these aren't necessarily people that I talk to on the regular, but they are people that understand that they owe me a favor or something like that. So I'm gonna roll this as command in order to try and get this out of my former coworkers and stuff like that.
Sounds good.
Cool. So I just have the 1 in command, so I'm just gonna roll 1d6. Cool. That is a 6.
Nice.
So
Great
that
start.
means, yeah.
Tell me what I want to know.
Yeah, so you get some great information out of that. So what you find out, one of your old buddies who owes you, they tell you that the GCB, they don't have any connections with the Nourish, at least as far as anyone's aware. As GM, I'm going to tell you that no, they do not have connections with Nourish.
Yep.
And that every off-worlder group would love to get their hands on the mobile fortress for one reason or another. And most of them would probably settle for destroying it for whatever reason. But basically, the GCB is have a big old target on their back, and might not be worth the trouble of stealing that mobile fortress in the first place unless they can really use it as a banner to gather people to them, which they have to a degree. They are tier 4,
Sure.
but there's a big difference between a tier 4 squad and an entire faction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is there any other information in this direction that you think you
Sort of following on from that, are there independent groups in or near the Nourish autonomous region that might be likely to be moving in to try and grab the fortress or destroy it if they discover that it's in the area?
independent groups?
Basically, just trying to get like a list of usual suspects that we might expect to tangle with in this area.
Well, it is a Nourish held area, so
Sure.
basically any Nourish squad is on the table. Just a whole lot of them. But as for independent groups, the Burden, they're the types that might try and get a hold of the mobile fortress for their own ends. The Burden are an anti-off-worlder group with no real unified post-off-worlder plan of governance. And to some, they're terrorists. To others, they're heroes. Yeah, I think that's probably the only independent squad that might have an interest in the mobile fortress. And
Cool.
then, of course, yeah, there's the possibility of the various Nourish squads becoming involved.
Nothing but trouble. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm imagining this is all like still stirring the pot with the ladle, still like chopping up garlic and stuff like that, but like on a conversation with like a landline phone, so to speak, just like with an enormous cord that reaches across the entire kitchen, just
like
covered.
Phone cradled between shoulder and head.
Exactly. Yeah, just splashes of bubbling over tomato sauce everywhere.
All
Cool.
right.
Yeah.
Who else has something, some information they would like to gather?
I want to know, what do we know about like the Crimson Brigade's goals in general? Like, we the players can see that they have, the goal, activate all the fortresses systems, but what do our characters know? Is there any like resources that they specifically need, that sort of thing?
Yeah. Well, how are you going to look into that?
I'm torn between like the more research based like thing of just, well, what sort of things can I pull together from just doing the research on my own versus asking around with people. I think I want to go with just like research, looking that up, because from the sound of this, I don't know if it would be a great idea to be asking around about the Crimson Brigade and stirring up more interest in this area. That seems a little dangerous.
Oh, I just realized, don't forget that we have the local bar upgrade, which gives us plus 1D to gathering information about current or upcoming missions.
True.
Thanks, Devin.
Yeah.
It says your eyes and ears are on the street are always on the lookout for you.
Yeah. So like, I mean, if I'm going down that route specifically, I think like between my own research and like gathering in what bits I can from other people, that might actually end up slightly closer to consort. I think all
Yeah,
of this is consort is fun. So I have 2 in consort. And do I get in that other D6 from as we've been reminded, the local bar?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's roll some dice and see what we know about the goals. Roll. Why is it lagging? I'm looking at my roll 20 where it's just saying rolling the dice ... Being very confused. It's like, okay.
There we go.
That's a 4.
That is a 4.
So-
Okay, so that's standard information.
Yep. That seems fair.
Yeah. So I think that what you get is a lot of speculation, but you're able to, put it together because some of that speculation is like informed to a degree. There's probably a few former Jovangelian pilots or engineers that you hear word from, and people who like actually Baby would actually probably be a half decent source for this that you're able to collate information with, since he's an ex-Jovangelian technician, if I'm recalling correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, they'd probably be good for like skimming out what is real.
Exactly.
Rumors.
Yeah. So you're able to get is that the mobile fortress is a massive quadrupedal base with a lot of guns, and it would have had a lot of AVs, armored walking vehicles, in its storage hangars, because it can launch those as well. So it would need everything that you'd want for maintaining and repairing AVs and essentially a battleship. So anywhere that has, metal supplies, ammunition, uh, medical supplies for the personnel, food, and so forth, they're going to want all the kind of stuff you need to keep a whole base running, but especially the parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would Skoko have that kind of stuff?
I think you probably like get back in touch with Raymond Bone, and he tells you that like they, as part of their like efforts to rebuild the infrastructure of Skoko, they've brought in some like low-level manufacturing facilities.
Okay.
The kind of thing that you'd find in like a high school shop class, but enough that you can mill and lathe the parts that you need. So if you've got the know-how and you've got the resources, you could theoretically build an extremely simple and cheap AV, like the equivalent of a zip gun of an AV.
Okay. And if they brought that stuff in, there's probably at least one person who does know how to do that, whether or not they would want to do it on their own.
Yeah.
Okay.
Acrylic or Baby, either of you want to gather some information?
I don't know. I feel like we've done pretty well. I'm okay for now.
I was thinking of either like hunting the fortress and just kind of like watching it, just try to see if I can see any ways in, any vulnerabilities, any advantages that we might get based off of its design, Or I was thinking about scouting the area to see if there was any like advantageous like natural features that we could use to our advantage to try to like, because we're trying to board this thing, right?
Yeah, I suspect we're
You're
going to have to board it.
I mean, that sounds.
I'm curious, like, to a certain degree, we're being asked to gather information, like what are they doing there? Why are they moving in on this town?
Mm-hmm.
So certainly, I think expecting to board it at some point is certainly going to be the case. But I'm kind of curious, like I have a lot of confidence in our abilities. I don't know if we can take on a mobile fortress ourselves.
Oh,
So,
definitely not.
so I'm kind of curious, to what degree are we going to like make contact and like figure out what it is that they want, and see if we can figure out some way to like get them that without them destroying a town.
Yeah, that's definitely the
Exactly.
angle that Mina was looking towards.
Yeah, to be clear, your objective is to prevent the destruction of Skoko, nothing else. So whatever methods you use, the teachers union isn't going to mind. And actually, while on that topic, there are a few rules of engagement that the teachers union have provided, which is no requisitioning civilian or government property, no threatening or employing force against civilians, and no using explosive, chemical, or biological weapons near Skoko itself.
Okay, that's pretty
reasonable.
reasonable.
Yeah.
I forgot to put those in the Roll20. I will do that.
Yes.
Well, I think I would like to do a like a hunt roll to try to investigate this fortress. Do you think I could get close enough to it without like being seen or attacked?
Yeah, like I said, you can get close to it and see what's going on there to a degree.
Cool.
Well, I mean, actually, I guess the question, what really matters is what you get for the roll, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna do a hunt roll, and I had kind of a funny idea for this. I don't know if this is too silly, but I imagine her like using her big centaur mech to like sort of climb a high natural feature, and I think she gets out and starts like viewing this thing from a distance and like painting it.
Oh, hell
Okay.
yes.
That's
All
a
right.
red image.
And I'm calling that hunt. But I guess it could also be survey. But it's the same
Yeah.
for me either way. 2 1s.
Did you remember? Did you remember the die from Loyal
Oh.
Bar?
Oh, okay.
The thing you reminded us about?
Good. Nope.
Oh,
Still just a 3.
that was so close.
So her painting ends up being way more impressionistic and like hard to make out the details of.
Did you just get too wrapped up in the like painting itself?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So limited information is what you get. I think part of that is the fact that there's not really like much in the way of like high points in this area. It's like rolling farmland is a lot of what the area around Journey City is. So there's not like a cliffside that you can get up on top of, or even like a tall building in the area. So yeah, you get a good look at the mobile fortress and then get very involved in your painting. And so yeah, it's a big old thing. It's you can probably, if you can see it, you can probably hear its steps faintly. It's got a big gun that could probably take out one of the DFS Navy group's battleships if it was so inclined and got a shot. It's got lots of point defense cannons to protect it against enemy aircraft and probably even shoot down missiles. and you can see that there's a launch pad on the top of it for getting AVs and possibly even fighter craft off and into engagements. With your limited information, I don't think that you're able to spot like ladders or lifts or anything of the sort. Your best guess for ways in, I think, is to get on that landing pad on the very top of it, and then get into the hangars or the personnel walkways from there.
But we need to acquire some sort of technology to get us up, right?
I mean,
Well, I mean,
depends
some
on
of
your
you,
hobby.
yep, yeah, it depends on your AV, because at least one of you, I believe, has like flight as their mobility type.
Mine
Yep.
is a horse, so
Yeah, no, I have those nice rotors for wings.
Yeah, and of
But
course, if you do,
also, I don't want to go up there alone without without negotiations already begun.
yeah, and anyone else can declare a mobility suite if they want to add some verticality to their AV's movements.
okay.
Yes, I definitely want to pay the price for baby's mech Shelly to have like the sort of the foot jetpacks,
Hmm.
so
Well,
they can navigate on steep and mountainous terrain, and I don't know, maybe get up the leg of one of these guys.
well, this might be a good time to actually talk about our AVs. So, baby, why don't you describe your vehicle in a bit more detail?
Sure, yeah. So this mech is homemade, sort of scrapped together. It originally had a head, but the head got knocked off and he just patched over it. Um, so it's just kind of like shoulders now. And it has long ribbon-like arms and legs. It's a lot like the Laputa robot, but with bigger hips and kind of above the hips is as the where the cockpit is, and it's semi-open.
Nice. And what's your vehicle called?
Shelly.
Shelly. Cool. All right. Starling, why don't you tell us about yours?
Yeah, my vehicle is a Hummingbird class VTOL unit. It's called Coronet. Um, it's pretty small. Well, for a Avi, it's still like 30 feet tall. It's like sleek, dialyzed anthro hummingbird. um, and it's got VTOL wings from its shoulders because this kind of mech was originally built for, hovering about above crowds, making speeches from, that kind of thing. Um, Starling's modified it'll so that's a bit more useful in battlefield contexts, but that's still the main purpose. And it's mostly brass with some nice pink and purple flower detailing over the chest and onto the wings. Its cockpit is in its chest.
Great. Acrylic, why don't you tell us about yours?
As I hinted at earlier, my mech is somewhat horse-like. It is a centaur mech, and it is meant to be sort of like a turret mech. Like it has a big bow and arrow that it can like firmly plant its legs into the ground and then be a sniper. Um, it it has a strange kind of like texture on the outside of it that was like custom put in, and it looks like marble, but the colors in it sort of shift and the like pattern in it shifts to act as camouflage.
Cool. And
And
Saint
it has kind
Bernard.
of
Oh,
it has kind of a statuesque look to it.
Saint Bernard, why don't you tell us about yours?
Yeah, I am piloting the Jericho, which is a bipedal mech. I've sort of described it as like one of the heavy armored knights from Dark Souls. I've realized it's also kind of like the H-Guck Gaian, which I think is a Principality of Xeon mobile suit that was only ever a toy. I might be wrong. I'm not sure. But it's sort of like, it looks kind of like a medieval knight with sort of a like very pointy kind of helmet. Its most noteworthy feature is that it's got this really tall tower shield that it's basically as tall as the mech itself.
All right. Yeah. Um. Okay, so we've got our pilots, we've got our vehicles. 3 of the 4 of you have done some information gathering. Baby, you're the last one who has the opportunity. Is there anything you want to do?
The only other thing I'm interested in is who we might be meeting in the Great Crimson Brigade. Um, I don't know. Do you think it's worth doing just a quick
would-
study down at the bar?
I would love knowing who we might be talking to.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think maybe what is it? It's just Baby, like with a glass of whiskey down at the bar, and he's going through logs and trying to kind of reverse engineer, figure out who might be there, who might be on there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and then just bear with me. So that would be 1 die for study plus 1 for bar.
Yep.
Okay. Does this work? It's a 3.
A 3. Okay, so unfortunately, you get pretty limited information. And let's see. I think what you hear is that the person who is in charge of the GCB is a guy named Salvatore Tomanovsky. And yeah, I think there's probably a lot of what you get is rumors about him. I think even after like some of the rumors, you realize that people have mistaken Saint Bernard for him at some point. Like the only sort of like consistent thing is that he's big, but they even can't like agree on like in what ways he's big. They're also like you can't really get a hold on why he and the GCB stole the mobile fortress in the first place. Like just yeah, you get a name and a build, and unfortunately, not much else. Yeah, limited information. Okay, so with that, it is time to do the mission prep work. So we've already got your employer, we've got your target, we've got your rules of engagement, and so now y'all gotta decide what tactic do you want to use. Do you want to go with assault, deception, scientific, social, stealth, or transport?
I don't think we have enough that much information in terms of our plan of attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about like going in without necessarily having a firm grasp on what it is necessarily that they want to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, we need to protect Skoko, so whatever it is should be geared towards doing that.
And we should probably be ready to fight.
Yes. I wonder to what degree this is like showing up as an interceding kind of group, like like I don't know if we have what it takes to stop them in an all-out fight from walking all over us and the town.
Yeah.
So this might be something to the degree of like making sure that they see very clearly, like, hey, we're here and we'd like to know what it is that you're up to so that we can come to some sort of an agreement.
Well, maybe some sort of social plan then.
Yeah, like I'm almost imagining like setting up like a temporary pavilion or something like that to like
Yeah.
very clearly like, hello, we're here to speak with you.
And
Almost
sort
the
of
way,
block their path a
Yeah,
bit.
like
yeah,
just set something up with a like very clear. This is a treaty flag above it
exactly.
that they
Yeah,
can't
something like
deny
that.
missing.
And something to the degree to which yeah, so something very public where it's like, well, even if we're going to say no, we have to stop and talk because that will at least give us an opportunity to gather more information.
I like the idea that we have like a big like AR flag that like shoots up into the sky.
Oh, 100%.
I was thinking that our logo was a like dove flying with like a sword in its mouth.
Hell yes.
Yeah, I'm so into that image.
Would it be helpful to create like a physical barrier? Because I think that Wyndham could do that. We could sort of negotiate some kind of thing or a flashback where he puts together, like the giant web of interlinking little drones. It wouldn't stop it for long, but it would kind of slow it down.
Yeah, that's definitely the kind of thing that you could handle with a flashback because you don't know if it'll actually be necessary or useful. But if you see the opportunity, you can be like, "Hey, baby did this thing like 2 hours ago. Don't worry."
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's an option.
So it sounds like y'all are aiming for social, is when the squad negotiates with, bargains with, and persuades the target, and the detail is the social connection. So,
Yes.
I think so.
yeah. So who is the social connection?
Did we get any names from our bar
We
chatting?
got a name.
Salvatore, it's our old pal, Sal.
So, like, are we just
So great to hear
setting up
from you.
this nice, as Simon says, $5 diplomacy booth, and just just like doing a broadcast on a wideband signal, being like, "Hey, so if you're going to pass by, please talk to us first."
Oh, okay. Hang on.
Yeah, yeah.
So there was already this sort of mention of like, oh yeah, people have heard of Tomanovsky. He's like a big dude, right? Like he's
Oh my
like
god.
he's supposed to be like this huge guy.
We can have a big
What
off.
if what no. Even better, even better. So like all anyone knows is that he's a big guy. So what if we like as part of this we have like broadcasts, we have whatever kind of like streams going saying like, oh, the Amity Incorporated is going to meet with the GCB and work this out. Supposedly, Salvatore Tomanovsky himself is going to be there, and I am on screen, and we're not saying that I'm Salvatore Tomanovsky, but it's sort of implying like, see, he's already here, which will necessarily force them to stop and be like, "You're not Tomanovsky. I am Tomanovsky.
So,
What is
like,
going on?"
is this actually a deception plan?
Yeah, that sounds like more deception than social.
It's more. I just want to make sure that they don't like they can't ignore us. They absolutely can't ignore us. Because if you're in a huge like quadruped mobile fortress, it's very easy to walk right past the diplomacy booth.
Yes, but if we're trying to like be like nice people that are trying to get peace sorted out, I feel like lying to them right off the bat might kind of start it poorly.
It's not necessarily lying. It's more
It's
lying.
aligning. It's aligning the truth and letting people make assumptions.
I'm
mean-
fine. Yeah, exactly. I'm fine with either of the approaches. I just wanted to pitch that as like we have the opening of all anyone seems to know about that fella is that he's big, and we have the resource of a big man to use.
Well, why don't we put the diplomacy booth right in the middle of the street and then have a big man right in front? And
That
they'll have
works
to
for
figure it
me.
out for themselves what it
Absolutely.
means.
Sure.
Okay.
So it sounds like we're
So-
sticking with social.
Well,
Our problem is we don't have any contacts on with the GCB.
Could our contact instead be someone who is we often go to when we need to create like a place like this, almost like a it's almost like Party City, but for not for something to the degree of like squad career fairs, where they know how to put us up with like they're the ones that supply the pavilion, the big banners, the big projections, and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What if it was actually assault, but we're assaulting
Oh my
with
God.
peace? We're assaulting with, hey, come.
Isn't that like
we're facing
where we
you head
started
on.
with this whole squad?
That is
Like
the
Austin
most-
was like, "What squad do you want to do?" And we were like, "Let's go loud." And Austin was like, "So like consulate?" And we were like, "Yeah."
Yeah, absolutely.
I
The
mean,
idea of
it's a
assaulting
peaceful
with peace
assault.
is hilarious, though.
Amazing.
Because like I don't think we have a good contact to like get in the right social circles. I think we just need to like plant ourselves down right in front of them and be like, hey, let's talk.
Let's look again really quick at our
Personal
fa-
contacts.
our personal contacts and our crew relationships.
Yeah,
Maybe there's
I'm
something
afraid
there we could privilege.
my contact is no use at all. He's a grizzled old engineer.
I did not mark down a specific contact, but
I was thinking more like which I guess the teachers union likes us. Who else likes
yeah.
us?
We marked this down. That's in our. The other one who likes us is the 99th Intelligence Corps.
Right,
of the
yes.
BFF.
Would they maybe have someone on the inside that they could help that they could connect us with?
yeah, that's possible.
Okay. Do we need to roll somehow to make that happen?
I think that'll be part of the engagement role.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. So this is social, and the social connection is whoever your 99th Intelligence Corps, whoever the name is that they can cook up for you. Is that-
Yes.
I've got one for you if you need a name.
Who have you got?
This is Probable Cause. He's face cast as Lil Nas X. He dresses like the Lil Nas X.
We will
Yeah,
see.
that sounds like someone who'd be in the GCB.
Excellent.
Okay.
This is the second Beam Saber game I've played that has Lil Nas X in it.
Amazing. Okay. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah. All right. So, what loadout is everyone going to go with? Light, medium, or heavy for your pilots?
St. Bernard runs heavy.
Big
I'll
man with
take-
big gear.
Yep.
Baby will take medium for Shelly.
Oh, this is no for your pilot.
Oh, there's a separate.
Yeah, those are separate.
Okay.
Yeah, your mech one is static, but your pilot one you get to choose.
Oh, okay.
the
Well, I'll
sheet, the
still
pilot-
take medium.
Yeah.
Okay. Acrylic.
I'm going light because we do have
Yeah.
the consulate rigging, which gets us 2 more items, so that'll count as sort of medium.
That is true. Yeah, the consulate rigging gives you 2 of each pilot's items are perfectly concealed. So actually, it does not give you extra load. It just hides your stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Still light though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And Starling?
I think I'm also going light. That feels most fitting for who Mina is.
Okay. So mark those on your character sheets for your pilot load. So, time for the engagement roll.
Actually, I'm gonna go
Yep.
medium instead. Sorry.
Should we also
Yep.
at this point declare what our vehicle load is?
If you haven't already decided what your vehicle load, well, you're supposed to decide your vehicle load as part of your vehicle's creation
Okay.
because it's permanent.
Yeah. I mean, I
Ah.
have. I just wanted to make sure.
You just don't have to declare what items your vehicle has. Yeah, you
Okay.
declare those as needed.
Okay.
So for the engagement roll, you get 1 die for plain old luck. Is this mission bold?
Yes.
Mhm.
We are
This
just pointing
sounds
ourselves
cool.
right in front of them and being like, "Hey."
Hey, talk to us. Don't step on us, please.
Hey,
Yeah, okay. Is the mission especially complex?
Not
No.
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 in fact,
Does
I dare say it could stand to be a little more complex.
really.
But here we are.
does the mission exploit the target's vulnerabilities?
What
I
vulnerabilities?
don't think
No.
so. We have no idea. You would need to tell us if it did.
Yeah, that's a no. Is the mission's tactic ineffective against the target?
Not enough information.
Yeah. We don't know. It doesn't seem particularly effective, but we don't know if it's completely ineffective.
I'm going to say it is ineffective because y'all are putting up a roadblock essentially
Yeah,
for a mobile fortress.
yeah,
Yeah.
Does the squad receive external support for the mission?
We're trying to.
I mean, we're asking
Yes.
someone for help specifically.
That's true. That's fair. Yeah, you
And-
did contact the 99th. Okay, so that's an extra die. Is anyone interfering with the mission other than the target? Yes.
Probably.
Yeah. So that takes 1 die away. So you're down to 1 die.
Well, at
Oof.
least we have one die.
Are there any other factors that affect the mission? Take plus 1d for positive ones, minus 1d for negative ones. Does anyone have anything they think would apply?
No, we each have a big man, so it kind of balances out.
Yeah, okay. So that's 1 die. Who wants to roll
Oh,
the
God.
engagement roll with 1 die?
I think I think that we have all rolled. I was gonna say that Maddie should because they hadn't previously, but they have rolled by now.
Who's our chief negotiator again?
Me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
get
can
in there.
roll. Rolling 1d6. That's a 4.
Good you. Okay.
Yeah, that's all right. That's
Thanks,
risky
Cole.
position.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that seems honest.
Yeah, on just above a failure. About right.
Hey, team, if this negotiation falls through, at least we have a big man.
So
true.
you all meet up with Acrylic, catching up with her on her hilltop, and with her. Does she paint with an easel or?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess you find her with an easel set up. Is it like on top of your Avi's head?
Oh, I figured her Avi was just kind of in the background.
Okay. Yeah, so you catch up with her. She's painting the mobile fortress, which you can see in the distance. And a lot of you move ahead of the fortress and get in its path. and you've set up your big tent and your big sign to get their attention. And that's when you notice something in the distance. The thing that Acrylic failed to notice when she was scouting. Which is that there appear to be like a squadron of flying AVs heading after the mobile fortress. And on top of that, things get a bit more complicated when the mobile fortress turns on some ECM and knocks out your throat mics, knocks out nearby radio.
Don't
So
like that.
that's the situation. I think the mobile fortress does stop, however, in front of your roadblock, and just over like a loudspeaker, you hear someone shout, "Hey, what's the meaning of this? Get out of the way! Can't you see we're being chased?" So, who has something they want to do?
Can we tell who's chasing them just by looking, or is that something we should ask them about?
Well, there was the flying mechs, right?
Yeah, there's a flying mechs, but like, did we see any identifying marks as far as like who those flying mechs are?
I think that would be a gather information roll from somebody.
Okay.
I could probably run out there really fast and kind of get a look at the ones that are downed.
Sure. What do you want to roll for that?
Would it be maneuver?
Yeah, it could be maneuver to get out there quickly and get back safely.
Yeah. I feel like you
Okay.
need as much information as possible.
Yeah. This will
6.
be risky
Oh.
standard.
I
I mean,
should have said.
that's fine. You got a 6. So yeah, your Centaur AV dashes out like around the fortress, and you get closer. And what you see is that there is a swarm of Nourish Iron Star AVs, which sort of have like a rounded humanoid upper torso, and then their lower body is like a series of hover systems.
She has a big range of emotions as she sees all this Nourish stuff, considering those are her former people.
Yeah. Also, I guess with the 6, I'll also say that you notice that they have a the emblem of the Knives of Nor painted on them.
Ooh,
Which
we
is
have a
like,
-2 with them, right?
yeah, you do.
Yeah, we do not like those. They do not like us.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
emblem is like a hand being held out to like shake, but there's like a knife up the sleeve.
Can I see more of them like approaching?
No, it's just like this squadron of them, but I
Do they
think
seem like they're recovering at all?
well, since you're out here and you're closer to them, the ECM being put out by the fortress is a bit weaker, so you're able to pick up like bits and pieces of transmissions that they're sending out, and it sounds like they're trying to call for reinforcements, but
Okay.
the ECM is impeding them at this time.
Is Acrylic able to tell us about that, given their position? Because otherwise, we're not going to be able to find out any of this, right?
Correct. And unfortunately, no, Acrylic is
Okay.
going to have to run back before she can deliver that info.
Okay.
So, what
So-
are the rest of you up to?
I think that while she's scouting, I'm going to respond to the GCB person saying, our apologies. We were not aware of that part of the situation. We simply knew that you were heading towards a town, and we wish to ensure its safety.
Town? What town?
The town of Skoko? You're heading directly towards it at the moment. They were concerned.
Dang. It's fine. We'll watch our step. And it's looking like one of the legs starts to rumble as it's getting ready to walk. Do you want to give me a roll, Starling, to try and convince them to not or to stall them or something?
Like, I'm a little torn because on the one hand, I don't want the fight. I think the main reason why she would be trying to stall them is because she doesn't want the fighting to get any closer to the town.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that would be like I'd be doing this as a sway roll. Trying to, with the goal of like trying to convince them that if there's going to be a combat, because it seems like the swarm's catching up, right?
Well, yeah, because the fortress has stopped and there's nothing slowing down the swarm.
Okay, but if they proceeded apace, is the swarm like was the swarm catching up to them before, or were they just?
Yeah.
Okay, so we could have seen that it would catch up to them anyway. So I think I'm basically trying to convince them that if there's going to be a combat, it should be outside, like city limits, and there is a town up there. So if there must be combat, at least keep the civilians out of it. So
Can I
that
assist?
How are you going to assist
Yeah.
St. Bernard?
So what I want to do is I want to move my mech. So I had definitely been like in a position to like protect Starling from the fortress. But I think what I'm doing is I'm deliberately positioning the Jericho, because obviously I can't hear a whole lot of this. But I think that there's enough visual information here. Like I can see that a negotiation is happening, and I'm positioning the Jericho such that I'm aimed towards what we as the players know are the Nourish units, but to indicate that like if they do happen to engage with this group that is chasing them, that they might not necessarily be alone in that fight.
To be clear, Starling, you would have been like saying all that over a loudspeaker since radios are down with the ECM, just like
Okay, yeah, that makes good sense.
Okay,
if
so
that's okay with you.
that's fine with me. That is definitely in line with the sort of stuff that that Coronet would just have, I think.
Yeah.
So you're aiding with your
Yeah, so
position
you can
like
either
that?
take improved position, improved effect, or +1 dice.
Okay, I would like to hear what the position effect would be before I pick.
Yes, good call.
I think this will be risky standard.
Okay. Risky standard seems fair, honestly. Like I'm inclined towards I'm rolling 2d6 to begin with. So like my
Give us
automatic
a great effect.
Yeah. Like more effect seems like it'd be the most helpful thing because honestly a risky position seems fair to me.
I agree.
Okay.
Make it happen.
So rolling 2d6 at risky great. Hell yeah. That's a 6.
Oh, outstanding.
Great. Okay.
I love that it was a 6 and a 1, by the way.
Who's good at diplomacy?
Oh, I had some nice help. I'm not the only one. Okay.
Yeah, okay. What is their reaction? The voice of the loudspeaker says, yeah, you're right. We don't want to start a fight inside of there. All right. Would you be willing to help with this?
I believe that I speak for my squad when I say, to the best of our ability. We
Look,
are
we
willing to
don't know
help.
what they want. We just know that they're coming at us aggressively, and we've got a target on our backs.
Okay.
I think the Jericho gives a big thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Baby, what have you been up to during these talks?
um, I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine. If you think of something, let us know. And of course, since you don't have something in specific that Baby's been up to during this period of time, it's a perfect opportunity for a flashback later on.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah. All right. So, Acrylic, the Iron Star Squadron is like passing overhead, and they definitely see you.
Okay.
But I think one of them like comes down and circles around you, but doesn't like point its weapons at you or anything unless you do that to it. And but the rest of the squadron is moving on. Is there anything you want to do here?
Oh, well, I was going to see if I could try to interrupt them as they were sending out calls for reinforcements, but it's probably too late for that now.
No, you can still attempt that. What do you want to try and do?
Oh, I can't decide if she would be the one to just incite violence like right off the bat, but she's not happy to see the Nor, and they seem to be actively hostile at the moment, and knows that like, well, she doesn't know that we want to take care of these people to help the fortress escape. Was that what you just figured out?
We are helping the fortress against this because the fortress because we don't want Coco destroyed, and they asked nicely. Plus, we don't particularly like these people either.
Yeah.
Like Mina doesn't know that yet, but we as players do. So
Yeah. I'm trying to decide if she would just like start fighting them or if she would go back.
I liked your idea of trying to interrupt their comm signals more,
Okay.
as that seems like a good middle ground between inciting violence and doing nothing in particular.
I have actually an idea then. I am going to declare my fine heavy cannon on my vehicle, which is like a big bow and arrow that it pulls out of its like spine, basically. It like folds out and then turns into like a big energy bow. And I think I want to declare special ammunition. I think it'd be cool to like have a similar effect in an like a beam arrow, like that the fortress is doing, where it's like sort of making comms useless. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get what you're saying.
That's cool.
Definitely. Maybe can I help?
Yeah.
Yeah, Baby like has geared you up with some experimental weapon with this kind of ability.
Okay, cool.
All right. So spend your stress to assist. And what are you rolling for this?
It's probably bombard if I'm shooting like beams from a bow from a distance. And
Well, okay. Here's the thing.
Oh.
If you're trying to like interrupt them while they're flying overhead, I think that's more battle. So you can use bombard, but it'll be reduced effect.
okay.
But
So
you're also
with
getting some assistance, right? So that'll help counteract the reduced effect.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I'm gonna use the assistance to bump up the effect. And let's see. I don't want this to go badly because I want to kind of keep the surprise going. So I'm going to expend a quirk. I'm expending the glitchy camouflage quirk, and I'm trying to make it so that like, even though they kind of saw me, that I move into a position where I start to like blend in with the patterns of the ground and the grass and stuff, so that they can't really see where I am firing from.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this will be risky standard.
Cool. That's a 5.
That's a 5. Okay, so that is a partial success. All right.
That's my second.
On
That's my second
risk.
favorite kind of success.
So on risky, let's see. Yeah, you fire. So what does it look like as you fire this arrow?
I imagine that like there's sort of a charge that builds up like in the middle of the bow where the apex of the like curve would be, and the mech's like arm kind of like shapes this energy and pulls its arm back to like make it into like a beam that it then fires.
Okay. All right, and so the beam arcs up into the air and explodes into static. I think even like being this close to the shot acrylic, you hear like your comms were already like quietly staticky from the ECM being put out by the mobile fortress, and then when your shot goes off, there's like a squeal that comes out of it. You like turn your radio down a bit. But it's definitely that's sort of like the way you know that it's working is that it's hitting your comms too. Not that they were much use at the moment.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that spooks the Iron Star that's been circling you, and so it opens fire with its arm-mounted machine gun. So you are going to take the level 2 damage. What would be a good one? Punctured, as
All right,
your AV gets lit up.
I'm going to declare armor.
Okay. So you spend that armor. The rounds of from the Iron Star hit your AV, but don't bust through. But you rattle around inside of the tin can that you're in, and you can feel like that the armor has taken a strain and isn't going to help you again at this point.
Hey, Katie.
That was a mech.
It's the sound of the metal fatigue happening.
Exactly.
Nice. Yeah, I think I start to retreat back to the rest of the crew.
Okay. You're definitely being chased at this point.
Can I try and intercept the chaser?
Yeah, what does that look like?
I think the Jericho has this big tower shield. I think this is really just like trying to chart a course to intercept and just shield ram this thing as it is pursuing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because acrylic had already like moved a ways out,
Okay.
you're gonna need to make like a roll to get there fast enough to like be able to intercept properly.
That's fair.
before you can actually engage the Iron Star that's pursuing Acrylic.
Could I perhaps, like, rather than directly engaging the Iron Star, sort of move to a defensible, like, ridge or something like that to provide Acrylic a place to retreat to?
Unfortunately, the area around you is like rolling farmland. There's not really much in the way of ridges.
Okay.
There's like some tree lines, and there's probably old barns and farmhouses and like grain silos. But so, I mean, I guess you could take advantage of one of those if you can think of a way.
Except that I don't want to damage any civilian property or anything like that. So I will simply move to try and try to catch the enemy fighter out in the open. So probably maneuver.
That sounds about right to me.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
This will be risky standard unless you have something that'll improve the position or effect.
I don't think that I do. No. But I do think I will push myself by expending a quirk. Is that how that works?
Yep. Which quirk are you gonna spend?
I'm gonna
And
use-
What does that look like?
I'm going to use irresistible momentum. I think some auxiliary jets on the back sort of ignite in order to make sure that I have the speed necessary to get to the action.
Sounds good. Are you taking an extra die or improved effect?
I'll take an extra die, which means I'm rolling 2d6. That's a 4. Nope, that's a 3. That is a 3.
That is a 3, unfortunately.
Yep.
All right. So, you like rush around the mobile fortress, heading towards Acrylic, and the Iron Stars come up faster than you expected. And the ones that aren't in pursuit of Acrylic, they start engaging the mobile fortress. And so the mobile fortress is returning fire. There's like tracer rounds streaming off of its point defense cannons. And there's all these Iron Stars circling around it, opening fire as well. And I am going to... where can I put this? Put it here. Going to start a 4-tick clock and put 2 ticks on that, because one of the Iron Stars fires like a cannon round out of its arm gun. This one, like the Iron Stars, they have detachable hard points on their arms, so they can swap out weapons as appropriate. And this one has a cannon instead of the machine gun, and it hits the mobile fortress. And
Can I resist
I don't
that?
think it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
How
or-
do you want to resist it?
I
I
got something.
Sure.
So Shelly has got camouflage, got industrial camouflage, and maybe the mech was moving into position as everything else was happening and is now ready to just sort of pop up and defend.
Okay. So you're hitting this Iron Star before it gets that shot off is the idea?
Yeah, sort of like they've been lurking, underneath the tail of this of the mobile fortress, and then they just jump up and uh, stab them through the belly, equivalent.
Yeah.
Sneak attack.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think that is expertise to try and get that opportunity. So what's your expertise rating?
expertise is excellent. It's what is it? I've got battle, destroy, and maneuver, but 2 in battle. Is that 2 or 3?
It is 3 because it's the number of skills in that attribute that you have at least 1 point in.
Hell
So
yes.
you don't actually roll dice when you're resisting with your vehicle. You spend 4 quirks minus your rating. So you have to spend 1 of your quirks to resist this consequence.
Yes, I definitely will spend that industrial camouflage.
All right. Yeah. So what does it look like as you surprise this what do you call it?
Iron Star.
Shelley has got. It's interesting that you mentioned the sort of interchangeable hands. Shelley's got sort of a whole stack of hands up their arm that can just be kind of expended, and then you sort of click down the next one. So in this case, yeah, Shelley sort of pops up unexpectedly, and that hand just catches on the underside of the enemy mech and counts down and explodes.
Okay. So you do that and it knocks the Iron Star away, doesn't take it out, but it certainly its shell goes wide, flying over the mobile fortress and exploding somewhere off in the distance harmlessly. So yeah, you've managed to protect the ECM. You all still can't talk to each other. An unfortunate downside, but at least you don't have reinforcements inbound.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I think Acrylic comes storming in her mech, and through like, can we at least talk through like loudspeakers?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to see what Starling's up to just before
Okay.
Acrylic gets back.
Okay, cool.
I feel like what Starling is up to is like trying to like I think she's asking about when this pursuit started or if they have any idea why they're being pursued. Like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like with an eye towards if we have any idea why maybe I can like try talking to them. But I have a feeling that's the conversation that's going to get interrupted by Acrylic coming back and telling us who this group is.
Okay. So yeah, the person over the radio or over the loudspeaker tells you they started chasing us about a half day ago. We spotted them on our long range radar. So we've thrown up now that they've gotten close enough, we've thrown up our ECM to block any calls they may be making.
Understandable. Well, no trigger for why they started chasing you that you're aware of?
My guess is the trigger that they saw us and wanted to get the big fish, so to speak.
That's very fair. Okay. My mech is not designed for combat the way the rest of my squad is, so not sure how directly I will be of aid, but if we can get in contact with them, maybe we can talk some things out. It's worth a shot.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're opening fire, so you better get creative with that diplomacy of yours.
Yeah, Starling just kind of laughs.
Okay. All right, Acrylic, you're coming back.
Yeah, and she yells through the loudspeakers, assuming that that's something we can do. We got a drawer full of dull knives after us.
I think it takes Mina a moment before she's like, the knives of Nor?
The same.
Oh, well, that ain't great.
They're like actively pursuing me, right?
I mean, at this point, there's one pursuing you, and then the rest are sort of like have engaged the mobile fortress.
I would like to lose the one, if possible.
How do you want to try and lose it?
I think I am going to expend a quirk to do so. I have a quirk called Overwhelming Horsepower.
Yeah,
I
you
love
do.
that quirk.
And I think I'm just gonna like go into like super speedy mode and just like gallop into the distance and try to lose it in the fields.
Okay. So what are you rolling for that?
I would assume maneuver.
That's what I would think too, but it's not my job to say.
Yeah.
All right. This risky standard.
Cool. I'm gonna roll it. 6. Hell yeah.
Nice.
Excellent. Yeah. So let's see. What kind of clock do I want for this?
And I burst into the distance like a racehorse.
Yeah. All right. So I am going to start a 12-step clock for the Iron Star Squadron. And I'm going to throw up 2 ticks on there. I think you tell me how you completely lose this one. Like, does it get taken out? What happens?
I don't know how I would take it out if all I have around me is like agricultural fields.
I mean, maybe you go through like an old barn and it gets clotheslined on the roof. And
Oh,
just,
that's cool.
Like, the barn collapses in on it.
Yeah. That's cool.
All right, yeah. So that's what happens to that Iron Star. It just gets buried in a bunch of old timber.
There's a little puff of hay.
Absolutely. All right, so you're able to lose it and then get back to the rest of the squad and the confrontation that's happening just on the like city limits of Skoko. So what's everyone else up to?
How's the battle going? Because I suspect that baby's right in it now.
Yeah.
It's pretty evenly matched. The mobile fortress is just using its point defense weapons against the Iron Star, which, as they're like, they will absolutely mess you up if one of the rounds hits you. But they are, as the name implies, a defensive weapon. It's obvious that there is a lot more that the fortress could be turning against them, but isn't. In part, that's part of the reason that the Iron Star are sort of on even footing with the fortress at this time.
Yeah. I'm thinking like if y'all have a position that you want me to draw them towards, I could probably draw some of the iron stars towards you. I might not have weapons, but I'm pretty good at being flashy and getting attention.
I think the Jericho is like pretty much between the two of them, but I agree that if there's any hope of pulling them away from the town, that would be preferable.
Yeah.
Is there any way you could like circle around behind them in the hopes of like making them think that they're under a pincher attack, even if the threat isn't quite as there? This might actually be the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah, I think I could do that.
Okay.
Is
So
is
you're
it
gonna.
worth Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, is it worth maybe doing like I could do a scan to set you up for success in this maneuver?
I mean, sure. Um, as as far as how I'm going to do that, I was going to declare my fine holo projector for the specific idea of try and make them think they're in a pincher attack.
Oh yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. What do you want to roll for this?
Um, I think that depending on how we're thinking about it, it's either sway or maneuver. Sway seems more accurate as far as like the idea of this is tricking them goes. But since
Ye-
I'm in a mech, I'd want to check that that's okay.
Yeah, it is. Because it is such a flexible tool, the fine hollow projector is actually the example of how to pick the appropriate uh, action.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so sway seems like sway's what I would go for then. I think I heard Maddie say that they might have a setup action in mind. Sorry, like baby, did you?
Yeah, although it looks like that's really good. If you want, I could try doing a scan, so that it would sort of figure out the exact best place to project the hologram so that it would be the
Yeah,
most effective.
or so that we're driving most likely to drive them in the correct direction. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah. If you want to do
But
a setup, I'm fine with you doing that.
yeah,
N-
it's just one, so I don't know if that's too risky.
Well, I have a question. What exactly is your intent with what you're doing here, Starling?
My original idea had been like I want to try and drive the Iron Stars in a specific direction. Um, my initial idea had been to drive them into a position where they would be more vulnerable to attack by the rest of the group. If the goal is to destroy them, because I don't believe that they will leave on their own without a more cause.
Okay.
And because also if we drive them off, I'm pretty sure they just call for backup and then come back with that backup that we don't have the resources to manage
Exactly.
Okay. I think this is actually a setup action roll.
on my end.
Yeah, because you're trying to put them into a vulnerable position
Yes.
by tricking
That
them with the hollow projector.
yes, that had been my initial idea.
Yeah. Okay. So this will be a setup action that the rest of the squad can follow up on.
Yeah.
All right. So you're
Um,
gonna roll sway.
yes.
Okay. This will be risky great because you've got that fine hollow projector.
Awesome. I would very much like this to work, so I think I want to push myself to get another die in there. Even though I already have a pretty good sway. Just
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to roll 3d6 for this.
All right.
Hell yeah, that's a 6.
You'll just keep
Nice.
them sixes coming.
It's awesome.
Okay. So what does it look like as you use your hollow projector to herd the iron stars where you want them?
I think that I slipped around. I do think I slipped around like kind of behind them. Probably I'm trying to make it look like these um new mechs that I'm projecting are coming out of hiding over like some kind of rise. Um, I think that given a choice, I would try and pretend because I'm not expecting this to ploy to last very long, regardless. I'm going to go for attempting to make it seem like there's flying mechs, so I can drive them closer to the ground, where because my allies are all ground based,
Okay.
so bring it
Sounds
closer to
good.
all their defenses.
What's the what do the mechs that you conjure up? What do they look like?
I think I wanted them to look like maybe is there a generic like DFS one, because this whole thing has been going kind of pushing up the isthmus towards the DFS, so that seems like it would be the right faction to draw from. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if there's a generic like flying DFS mech, but that's what I'd be going for.
Yeah. Let's see. What might one of those be called? The Kopesh. Yeah. It's a very triangular flying mech that's almost like a sort of like the B-52 stealth bomb or the B-2 stealth bomber,
Yeah,
but it's got like sort of legs and arms trailing underneath it. So yeah, that's what you conjure up comes flying up over behind the and the iron stars, they like start taking evasive maneuvers as your ghosts chase them.
Nice.
Yeah. And they're getting bit by bit pushed closer and closer to the ground. And let's see.
Can I take advantage?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think what I want to do is I want to close the distance and just completely overwhelm one of them, knocking it to the ground and pinning it.
Sounds good.
In the hopes of taking one of them out for a short period of time, and sort of disrupting their formation, so that the others can capitalize.
Yeah. All right. So I think that is that increased. I think that's improved effect, right?
Yeah, I think that's what that setup gets us.
Yeah.
Because like they're still in combat mode. It's not like we're it's not like we're overwhelmingly on top of them just yet. We'll just catch them flat-footed.
Okay, so risky, great. And so you're just like shield slamming them?
I think the Jericho like pops open a hook on the inside of the shield and pulls out a heat axe and charges forward, shield first, but with the heat axe igniting in the other hand. So I'm gonna roll. Go ahead.
Are you declaring any load for this?
Yeah, so I'm gonna declare. I've been talking about the shield, so I'm gonna mark off the shield. And would the heat axe be a fine melee weapon or a directed energy weapon?
That's up to you.
I'm just gonna call it a fine melee weapon. I don't think this is an especially great thing. It's just a tool for chopping down hands.
Wait, did you just
it's not
mark off
great,
the
it's fine.
Also, it looks like you just marked off the fine melee weapon under pilot load instead of vehicle load, by the
Oh
way.
yeah,
Because
thank
you know what else you have under vehicle gear? A scary weapon or tool,
Oh well.
which is more about intimidation than damage, but
Yeah, fair. Well, as a matter of fact, I was going to push myself and use the quirk ominous appearance in order to get an additional die on this. So maybe I'm not seeing the
under like directly under the name vehicle gear.
Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. Yeah, then I will okay, so instead, no, this Heat X looks badass. And it's probably like Baby has almost certainly customized it, and like I think it's got some sweet like Deshir Zone style flames licking off of the side of it.
Oh yeah.
And
Can I help?
Oh please.
I think I just gave you some cover fire to help you pin them.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So I'll roll 4d6 for battle.
Hell yeah.
And I think almost certainly Saint Bernard has his own loudspeaker open and is just like screaming / laughing as he plunges into the Iron Stars. There's a 6.
On that last
There
die.
is a 6.
Yeah. You'll have to see it.
Yeah, okay, and on great effect, so I will add 3 more ticks as you leap forth and just slam into one of these iron stars that's trying to avoid the ghosts chasing it. And just take it down. It skids through the dirt up against a hill. And it's down absolutely. Cool. Yeah. I think now would be a good time for us to take a quick break.
Sounds good.
If
Sounds
that's
great.
okay with everyone.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we'll take a short break and be back in a bit.
Okay.
right, we are back from our quick break.
I
So,
think the episode, like the animated version of this, definitely has like the shot of Bernard knocking down an iron star saying, "And stay down." And then when we get back from the commercial break, it's the exact same animation, but he says like, "For the Amity."
all right, baby, you said you were getting into the thick of it. What's going on with you?
Well, I think Baby was definitely holding back towards the mobile fortress just to make sure that things really were kind of moving away from that direction. And now probably would use some kind of like a some kind of projectile weapon to just kind of again try and just to keep everybody information and force them down.
All right. What do you want to declare for that?
Yeah. Go, am I in the right place? Yeah, I don't know if I declared the mobility suite, but I think that's fair. Like for the uh, foot
Jet.
jetpacks.
Yep.
And so, um, is there I guess the hand projectile would either be like a missile.
Yeah, it could be your arms could count as a rack of missiles since you said that they shoot out and then explode.
Yeah, so I think that's what it'll be.
Ah, okay.
And just again, just sort of aiming and trying to keep forcing them down in the direction that my allies are.
All
Weaponizing
right.
removable hands is definitely the most friends at the table fan move.
They've got two uses.
Yeah.
Okay, so this would probably be bombard. I feel like that would be maybe the most effective. It's hard to know the difference between bombard and battle.
It's sort of like a matter of range, right? Bombard is for targets that are beyond human visual sight, and battle is for anything relatively close. Like even shooting can be bombard or can be battle.
Yeah, because I don't feel like they're terribly far off. It's within hand's reach.
Yeah.
So that would be
Contempt.
two d6.
And what are you
Uh,
rolling?
a battle.
Battle. Okay, yeah. So this will be risky great since you still got the benefit from the ghosts.
All right. I think I'm just going to do it. 2d6 straight.
Mm-hmm.
It's 5.
That's
Not
a
bad.
5. Okay. So
Oh.
with that, what does it look like as you destroy one of these iron stars with your hand missiles?
um, it's you'd think it would just be like a really boring fire, but he got a bit crafty in the lab, and so it's actually like a really beautiful explosion. It's a kind of bluey green fire, and yeah, it just kind of it takes off with a jaunty wave and slaps this thing uh, fierily.
Okay. Yeah, so that thing it goes down, hits the ground, and like the engines stutter out. It doesn't explode, and what happens? The consequence is that the after it hits the ground with like a lot of its systems knocked out, the pilot redirects the power from the engines to the comms to try and push through the ECM that the fortress is putting out. And so basically on like all channels, you hear this panicked pilot as she says, "We found the mobile fortress. It's near a small town on the isthmus south of Tajil. We need reinforcements from Nor immediately."
God damn it! Can I resist that?
Yeah. How you gonna resist it?
There was a separated. It was like a bracelet, so the hand went off, and then it also had like kind of a little secondary trailing hand, um, just in case, which punctured down through the cockpit.
Okay, I think that'll be insight because you had to have the forethought to be like, one hand's not going to be enough in this scenario. I need two. So how many quirks is that going to cost you?
Insight. Oh dear God.
I
It
mean,
will cost me
insider-
2 quirks.
Okay.
What do you reckon, guys? It's worth it to stop reinforcements?
That's kind of been our goal to keep
Yeah.
reinforcements from coming in.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could agree with that.
Okay, so I'll use um I don't know, I feel like actually these could all be pretty effective here.
Well, explosive
Um
fist seems the most straightforward.
yeah, explosive fists and interlocking armor. This particular hand module had some of uh Wyndham's patented armor plating on it. So it made it very effective as a puncturing weapon.
All right, so
So I'll
spend
use
those
those
2
two.
quirks.
Uh,
I only got 1 quirk left.
yeah, what happens when you expend all your quirks?
Dire actions.
Dire
Probably fine.
actions. Yeah.
That sounds great.
They're quite fun.
Okay. So let's see so the mobile fortress, let's see, it is like been shooting at the iron stars. I think it also engages the ghosts that Starling has put out, and so it's like making things confused around Starling. Starling, you might get shot by the mobile fortress
Yeah, I would.
because you're sort of in the midst of your ghosts.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah, what are you gonna do about it?
Comms are still down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think that
Could I move to defend?
please don't shoot me to the fortress without also saying, hey, please don't shoot me to the Nor. So I think this might just be I'm going to dodge the incoming fire.
All right. What do you want to roll for that?
This is going to be a maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
As I am in fact just dodging. I think I have 2 in maneuver.
This will be risky standard.
Yeah. I think I'm debating if I want to push myself or declare a mobility suite for added motion, but I think I'm going to mark responsive controls to push myself for this. So that it's just moving way more fluidly, like just a twitch will get me out of the way of what's incoming, that kind of thing.
Sounds good.
So
Yeah. Risky standard, and how many dice for your maneuver?
I have 2 in maneuver, and if I'm pushing myself, that adds another 1. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Still only a 5, but that's respectable.
Yeah.
Respectable 5.
An honest
Okay.
5.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I forgot to unmark the reinforce. Oh no, I did. Oops. Okay. Yeah. So you managed to avoid getting shot by the mobile fortress. Let's see. But
Mm-hmm.
Something happens that complicates matters.
Yeah. My instinct was like, maybe I need to like drop the ghosts in order to dodge. Like I can't like evade fire and keep that program up at the same time.
Well, it's not. The issue isn't actually with your holo projectors.
Yeah.
The issue is elsewhere.
Okay.
It's not ominous at all.
It's so not ominous.
Yeah. So, you see what happens.
Oh, that's ominous.
Yeah, is that some missiles, some long-range missiles, come from the direction of Skoko and slam into the mobile fortress. And I'm not going to put a clock up for the mobile fortress. That's not the sort of thing that you destroy in a mission.
Mm-hmm.
But it certainly gets the mobile fortress's attention, because what you see is that there's a handful of these ground-based humanoid mechs that have like a big laser cannon on one arm and a big thing of missiles on their shoulder. As they start attacking the mobile fortress, and these mechs are clearly not Norish. They don't have the same like design sensibilities, so it's unclear who they are, what they're doing, other than attacking the mobile fortress. So
What is the Norge knives clock at?
it is at 8 out of 12.
Ooh. Are they still in a position where I could take some of them out with some fire?
Yeah, like I
So,
said, they're still being. Go ahead, Cole.
Yeah. About those new mechs that just appeared, they're at the edge of Skoko.
Yeah, they're like while everyone was distracted by the iron stars, they sort of like have come out of the town, and there's just 3 of them. So yeah,
Okay.
acrylic, you can absolutely engage those iron stars because the battle is still like raging. They're still getting chased by the ghosts that Starling put out and that the mobile fortress is shooting at.
Yeah. Can I do a flashback to like have found a good sniper position?
Yeah, sure. I think that's a setup action. Yeah. So I think that'll be 1 stress to have found the opportunity to pull yourself out of the battle and find a good spot.
Cool.
And what do you want to roll for finding this spot?
Survey?
Yeah, okay. So survey is using your human eyes, which means like opening up your cockpit.
I guess. Well, all right. Why I was suggesting it be a flashback is that maybe I did this earlier, like before the battle started, like when I was painting.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. All right. Okay.
That's really funny, actually. Like you were painting an abstract painting, and then all of a sudden it kind of clicks like, oh, this is what I really saw. I saw this amazing thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
It's
What
it's
would
this
that
it's the same
be?
for me. Or I guess the other way would be scan if I was like in the present, but that's less good for me.
Yeah. Let's see. I think
Oh, whoops.
that yeah, it'll be risky standard.
And I accidentally just rolled it. My
Oh.
bad.
Well, that's fine.
It was a 6.
We're good at this.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, y'all been getting a lot of 6s. Yeah. Okay, so you're set. You found, what does this good sniper spot look like?
Are there any like big trees that I could sort of hide amongst?
Yeah, there's there's probably like an orchard somewhere that's
Okay.
like
Yeah.
gone to seed.
Cool. See, I'm hiding behind a bunch of apple trees. I got my camouflage on.
Mm-hmm.
Just dressed as a big apple.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this will give you improved position.
Hell yeah. All right, I would like to bombard. I would like to snipe some knives.
All right. So controlled standard.
Can I push myself? One of the quirks I have is orbital assisted targeting. I'm imagining she's like hooked up to like a satellite that like gives her like top down views of everything to get better like focus on positioning of targets.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I want this to go well. Another 6.
Hell yeah.
Mercy me.
And this is with my fine heavy cannon or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so I guess that would be great effect then.
Cool.
It's with a fine cannon. So you shoot around and takes out 2 of the iron stars. What does that look like?
Kind of the same thing as before. Like they hold their big bow up and then like they use the other hand to kind of like pull out these like energy arrows and just kind of let out a barrage of them at the general area of where the what they call the iron stars are.
Okay. Yeah, so 2 more of them go down. That clock is at 11 out of 12.
Yeah.
All right.
Can we send Cole to talk to these idiots from the town who are gonna
Oh
mess up
yeah,
our whole
that is exactly
plan?
where Starling was planning on going.
Yeah, I think Saint Bernard wants to escort our mediator to deal with this new group. So the Jericho does like a big arm swing and then jets off in the direction of these 3 newcomers.
Okay. Why don't I think that with the fight still going on, this should probably be a group maneuver from the 2 of you to get to them.
Okay.
Because there's, the PDC fire, now there's missiles, there's still that iron star flying around.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
There's a lot of danger here.
Sure.
Okay, so what are you going to roll for this group action?
I would go for maneuver personally.
I think maneuver sounds right. Yes.
Yeah, okay, so risky standard.
Yep. Who's leading this?
That is a good question.
So I have 1, but I also have the bodyguard special ability. I'm explicitly doing this to try and like provide coverage to our mediator.
Yeah.
Which I think
So-
Yeah. So I guess
that sounds like you would be leading
I think so. Yes.
for that to apply. Is
Yeah.
what that sounds like. Okay.
And I'll push myself. I will spend secure footing to try and maneuver successfully through the battlefield.
All right. Give me those risky standard maneuver rolls.
Okay. 2 5s. Oh, hell yeah. That's a
6s.
crit.
That is a crit.
Amazing.
Perfect. I'm proud of you.
Listen.
Okay.
Such a good bodyguard.
no one's
All right.
no one's getting hurt on my watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a
what-
great effect.
Awesome.
So where do you put the two of you?
I think we want to be in a position where you're clearly like engaging them before they're able to fully engage the fortress. Like we want it to be clear, like we are stopping them on their way there. At the same time, we don't want to like get so close that we are endangering Skoko if a fight does break out. So
Yeah.
I feel like if there's a road on the way out, if there were like almost like one of those like you are entering a Skoko population such and such signs, we would be right around that spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the two of you pull up there just as these three AVs are arriving. The lead one fires off like a burst of missiles at the mobile fortress, and then the three of them turn their attention to the two of you, and it looks like they're not sure what to make of you at this time. So
I think I am deliberately not like I've deliberately stowed my heat axe and have gone back into like I'm definitely in like a protective stance, but I think that when we were waiting for the fortress to show up, that I had like those samurai flags that are almost like
Mm-hmm.
livery that sort of represent like your noble house or something like that. I think I have one of those that's like the Amity Incorporated
Oh, totally.
dove and sword.
Perfect.
And I've sort of like reestablished like, hey, we're here to mediate.
I'm the dove, you're the sword in this particular instance.
Exactly.
did you just like rush back to the like pavilion roadblock you'd set up before just in time to meet them?
What I'm gonna do is I'm going to mark this as hollow projector. I think this is like a telescoping rod, and the livery itself is hollow projected.
Okay. A beam flag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
nice. Are there any like identifying marks on these mechs now that we're closer to them?
No.
Okay.
Actually, give me a gather information roll. It's a fortune roll, to be clear. No
Okay.
threat.
Yeah. I'm just gonna roll my 1d6 study. I guess that seems. It's
So
either
you're
that.
opening up your cockpit to look at them?
Um.
This is a fortune roll as a reminder. Like you don't have like a consequence here for this roll.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it would be scan if you're using your obvious scanners.
Yeah, I think. I do not specifically have scan.
Opening up your cockpit is a pretty good sign of goodwill.
Yeah, like I don't think I mind that as a like narrative thing to be like opening up my cockpit as we like near them. Like I have a pretty good amount of faith in Saint Bernard's ability to keep me safe.
Okay.
Let's roll this 1d6 fortune roll. Okay, that's a 3.
Yeah, as far as you can tell, there's no markings.
Okay.
So yeah, the three of you land, or sorry, not the three of you. I mean, unless Baby wants to be here too. But the two of you land nearby, and looks like we hit the $1,500 mark for the donations.
Woohoo!
So yeah, well
Amazing,
done,
everyone.
everyone.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So just as a reminder, this charity stream is to raise money for RISIS, which is the largest immigration legal services nonprofit in Texas, and it focuses on underserved immigrant children, families, and refugees. It's a very worthy cause, and so if you hit !donate in chat, you'll find the link to go and donate to that. Or if you're listening to this or watching this after the stream is ended, you can go to RAICES texas.org to donate directly. Yeah. So, St. Bernard and Starling land in front of these three AVs, which are looking at you with suspicion. One of them still has its weapons trained at the mobile fortress, but isn't firing at this moment. What do you do, Starling?
I think I'm going to call out to them, and be like, "Hey, the fortress currently bears no ill will towards Skoke. We've been. If you would like it to remain that way, please desist your efforts to fire upon the fortress." I'm just trying to get them to understand that right now. As long as you aren't firing, it's not intending to hurt anyone here. So that, to me, feels like it'd be a sway.
Yeah, okay. That will be risky standard.
Yep.
Can I
Seems
assist?
about right.
Actually, that's going to be risky limited. They don't have any evidence of that. So
Fair.
And of course, you can assist Saint Bernard. How are you going to assist?
I want to transmit a recording that I took. I think I probably record. I'm willing to call this a flashback if we need to, but I think that just as a matter of working as a battlefield mediator, I at least record everything that we say out loud, so that there's a record of it. And I want to send them the clip of
our initial contact.
Of our initial contact in the fortress, very clearly, not understanding that they were about to head through a town, but clip out before they say a remark about we'll watch our step. I'm not going to include that bit.
Okay, so that'll so two things. One, that'll be one stress for that flashback if you want to do it.
Okay.
But how are you going to get that information to them? Because the ECM is blocking it. The only reason that Acrylic was able to contact that orbital targeting was because she was so far away in that sniper spot.
Could I
have some amazing technology that somebody gave you?
Exactly.
Yeah, like a little kind of a hand with a white flag that also is a tiny projector. Very unmenacing.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I think that'll be a one stress flashback for you, baby.
You betcha.
All right. So
yeah, and if this is part of our standard operating procedure, it's almost like, oh yeah, well, we periodically need to share this kind of information in pressing circumstances. So
yeah, Okay, so Starling, you're being assisted by Saint Bernard as he projects the conversation that you had with the fortress's handlers earlier.
Mm-hmm. I'd love that to raise the effect back up to standard. I think I will just. Yeah, I think that I will also push myself for another die. So that I am rolling 3d6 for this.
Yeah, okay, suspend those 2 stress.
Yep, and rolling at risky standard now.
Yep.
Okay. Ooh, that's not good.
Ooh.
Ouch.
That is a 3.
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay. Hmm.
Hmm.
All right. So, what happens here is that there is a big explosion that like it happens in between the 5 of you. So let's see. Both Starling and Saint Bernard take level 1 damage singed, as the explosion is not a direct hit on anyone. But you realize that the round came from one of the mobile fortress's big cannons. Not the big cannon, but one of its guns.
Mhm.
As it begins to engage these AVs from Skoko. And the other AVs, like, they back off and they begin targeting. They're sort of splitting their fire between you and the fortress. Baby, what are you up to?
Um, Baby was sticking around to help polish off the last of this brigade, but I think as soon as he sees that explosion go down, he's jetting over to try and extract Starling if need be. So he's on the move towards
So
these
much-
3 mechs.
So this is very sweet. Someone should like make sure that the Iron Stars get taken care of too.
I can clean them
Devin, yeah, Devin's got it.
up.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, so baby, what are you doing? You're heading over to, you get over to Starling. What's your plan?
Um, yeah. I guess just to get within, to quickly get within shouting range, because we still are not on comms, and I guess, are we firing on these guys, or are we just gonna try and get Starling back to the mobile fortress so we can negotiate a bit more?
I definitely think there's some talking that we need to do.
I feel like talking has some purpose. That the talking might be yelling at all sides involved.
Can't you just be good? Little jerks. So yeah, I think he's just he's kind of hovering in, and he's going to be a little bit flashy, so that uh so that the attention is off of Starling, who can get back to the fortress. Seems like that's what's happening.
All right, what do you want to roll for that?
Yeah, what the heck is this? I mean, is it just maneuver to get in there, to get
Yeah,
into
I
the
think
right
I think this is
spot?
a setup action, and maneuver makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm just thinking I'll push myself for an extra die because I've just got 1 in maneuver, so 2 more stress.
That'll spend your last quirk, won't it?
No.
Yeah,
What?
because you're pushing yourself in your mech.
Yeah, when you push yourself in your mech, you spend quirks.
Oh no. Okay, well then I'm just gonna do just one d6 then.
Okay. Risky
Do-
standard.
Risky standard.
Oh.
That is a 2. So I think that the last Iron Star has figured out the ghost trick. Or actually, I think the ghosts probably got disrupted
Yeah.
when Starling got blasted. I think they came back up, but like the flickering of them tipped
Mhm.
off the Iron Star. And so you go to make your escape over to where Saint Bernard and Starling are, and suddenly it's behind you, and it lights you up with its machine gun. So actually, no, this one doesn't have a machine. This one's got like sort of like like its hands are almost like mech-sized pruning shears.
Oh.
Ooh.
And so it just like rushes up to you and grabs a hold of you and starts squeezing with them. So you are in a desperate position now, and also take the level 1 damage squeezed.
Squeezed.
Can I try and resist that?
How are you going to resist it?
I'm gonna throw the Jericho into the path of this oncoming Iron Star.
Okay. So which of those consequences are you resisting?
I will resist. I think fictionally it makes the most sense to resist squeeze.
It's everybody for desperate though, right? Like we would all be in a desperate position.
Nope.
Oh, just me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not so bad.
So yeah, I'm just gonna try and like shoulder check this guy on the way.
All right.
Thanks, bud.
So yeah, go ahead.
That'll be prowess.
Okay,
Or sorry, not prowess. Expertise.
more.
So
Okay.
how many quirks are you spending for that?
So I have 2 in expertise, and once again, I'm protecting someone else, so I'm using bodyguard, which gives me 3 total, which means I only have to expend 1 quirk, which is good because I only have 1 left. It is heavy plating, and I'll expend that. So I've used all 4 of my quirks.
Okay. So
The drama.
all right. You slam into this Iron Star. And so it's still got so here's a thing that you might want to do, Brendan, is
Please.
that technically when you protect a teammate, you're not technically resisting their consequence. You're taking the consequence onto yourself and then resisting it. Because
Okay, interesting.
yeah, so like you can protect baby from both these consequences and then just resist the one of them. So
Yes.
the other one will get applied to you if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, then I would like to do that, in which case. So
Okay,
in that case, what I would like to do is resist the desperate, but take
squeezed.
squeezed. Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't quite get a good grip on you, but you hear like the crunching of metal as it's tearing into one of your arms.
Yeah, I think that lines up a little. Cool.
All right, and with your last quirk spent, you have to decide, not right now, but next time you're up to act, if you want to take a dire action or if you want to send the Jericho out of the battlefield. Your pilot can remain in scene, but your vehicle is out. or you can take dire actions.
Okay. Sounds
Uh,
good to me.
Yeah, so give that a thought while we catch up with Acrylic.
I would like to finish off the Norse knives.
Okay, that last iron star that's putting the squeeze onto St. Bernard's Jericho.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm gonna spend anything special here. I think I'm just gonna get off a couple more shots and hope to finish off the last one.
All right. Risky great, I suppose. Yeah, because you got your fine heavy cannon.
Another 6.
Hell yeah.
Did you load your roll 20 beforehand?
I don't know,
Um,
but I'm an incredible sniper apparently.
Yeah. So what is it? So it's like got one hand, one of its sheer hands, squeezing onto the Jericho's upper arm, and then like there's a flash, and then it's just its arm squeezing onto the upper arm, and the rest of the iron star is like falling to the ground below, smoking.
Dope.
All right, Starling.
Yeah.
You are sort of like alone once again, facing the 3 Avis from Skoko in front of you, and they look like they're about to open up on you with their big laser cannons, or possibly be shooting at the mobile fortress some more. What do you want to do?
I think, is there a way for me to like broadcast or like the comms stuff is the comms are still down even now, right? Even though the Norse knives are out.
Yeah, because the
Okay.
ECM is coming from the fortress, so you
Yeah.
could try and convince them to turn off the ECM, but they
Okay.
have yet to do so.
Okay. Because what I'd love to do is like, is it possible to like broadcast my like voice or something loudly enough that both like that the fortress will pick it up and like these mechs will, or
I think
something?
audio broadcasts at this point with the battle raging are probably going to be limited effect because
Okay.
of how noisy it is,
That's
but
fair.
it's
I'm
possible.
everything's possible if you roll well enough.
Lots of
Exactly.
skywriting technology.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I still have the fine holoprojector, so like I don't need it to. So I think I definitely want to turn off the like ghosts that had been there, like make that part of it a lot clearer. And maybe like maybe some, I want to try and communicate to the fortress that like these people like maybe just like put up something big saying they're defending their home in the sky instead, like a very clear, if you want them to stop shooting at you, maybe doing something to show them that you aren't trying to hurt their town would be good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. So what do you want to roll for this?
It's the thing I keep rolling, but that's because it seems to be working real well. Sway.
That works. So I think this will be risky standard. It's standard because of your hollow projector.
Yep.
Um,
I'll continue stressing myself out over this.
it's a stressful job.
It is a stressful job. If
Yeah.
baby helps, it's not with stress, it's with quirks.
No,
Well-
assisting is always with stress, so it would cost you
Okay.
1 stress.
Yes, then I would love to help.
Okay.
Okay, and what does that look like?
I think it's just the tools, the sort of the fine, baby spent a lot of time working on this skywriting technology. He kind of like he takes messages for people and skywrites them to sort of monetize this. So he just has lots of practice. It looks really sharp. It's a good image.
Okay. So, Starling, are you going to take extra die or extra effect?
I would like to believe that rolling 3 dice is enough, that I don't need a fourth.
Uh-huh.
So risky great then with 3 dice?
Yeah, I think that's more fun.
Yeah, great effect sounds real good at this point.
Yeah, a 5.
5. Okay. So what's the message that you project?
I do think that they're defending their homes is about as clear as I can currently come up with.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Are we putting an order in? Back off. Stand down.
Stand
Yeah.
down.
Or is that too
yeah.
pushy?
Starling, what do you think?
I think that I think either is interesting. Like the fact that my instinct as a person would not necessarily include the stand down because I assumed it would be implied is perhaps the more honest thing. because because I think that Starling can sometimes forget that people who are very military would not necessarily take that as a obvious so you can back off.
Mm-hmm.
This fight doesn't need to happen thing the way that like maybe some of the others if they were more like maybe if Saint Bernard were still there, he would have like been able to say, "Hey, add this in."
I mean, I'm still right there.
Okay.
So, but I don't think that Mina will add it unless someone is specifically saying it's being like, "Hey, I think I would have told you to."
I think with the communication issue, that's not something I can collaborate with you.
That is
Yeah.
very true. All right, so your message goes up, and I think the way that you know that this worked is that 2 things happen. The first is that the big guns on the mobile fortress like raise up and stop aiming at the AVs on the ground. And the second thing that happens is that they shut off the ECM.
Nice.
So y'all can be back in comms with each other. Unfortunately, this isn't quite fast enough to get the message across to these ground AVs, as one of them blasts you with its heavy laser cannon. So take the level 2 damage cooked.
Can I try and resist that?
Yeah.
I think I really do just want to like try and be dodging it.
Yeah, okay. So that'll be expertise. So
Yep.
it's 4 quirks minus your expertise rating.
Which is 1.
So that's
I'm-
3 quirks.
Oh, honestly, at that point, I may as well just take it because that would be all the 3 quirks I have remaining. So, whatever. Or I
Can
think
you still take armor?
I could, but that feels so dishonest to who Mina is as a person that her like Mina's armor is Saint Bernard.
That's true.
That's
That's the whole reason I'm there.
so I think it's more honest to just take the damage and be like whatever -1d my mechs will still work.
And you can use quirks to get those dice back.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So that was burned.
Burned works, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what you said.
I said cooked, but
Oh.
burned is fine.
Yeah.
6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Yeah.
So now you're burned and singed, or you're at least your AV is.
Yep. Not nearly as shiny as it started out as.
Yeah. All right. But I think you did get a success, so I think the message is like trickling through. There's definitely still a bunch of distrust in the Skoko AVs. They still have their weapons pointed at like split between you and the mobile fortress,
Mm-hmm.
but they aren't firing, and like clearly they could be. They've stopped firing enough that their energy weapons have stopped like glowing hot.
Yeah.
Um,
There's an opportunity.
We should
Yep.
try to get people out of their mechs and have an actual like sit down peace talk.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
nice.
I think Saint Bernard is actually going to climb out of the Jericho and head over in that direction on foot.
Towards our pavilion.
So are you sending the Jericho away then? Because you have to decide by your next action. So either you're doing dire actions or you're sending it away. And the dire.
Okay, in that case, yes, I'll send it away.
Okay, so untick all your.
Can I continue to take actions that are not dire actions if I'm out of my mech?
Well, yes, because you have to decide if you're sending your mech away or not. Like the next thing you do has to be like, am I going to start engaging in dire actions, or am I going to like?
I'm gonna send the Jericho home. I have other plans that I can use if things heat back up.
Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't have to like literally go home. It's just removed from like availability.
Yeah, that's fair.
So it could just be that you get out and then it just like falls over and is smoking.
Yeah, I think it like it starts to slowly stumble towards maybe where we had the pavilion to begin with, but it is very clearly like out of action.
Okay, so clear its quirks and mark a point of breakdown on it. And when you mark a point of breakdown, you have to also worsen the last quirk that you spent, which was heavy plating.
Okay.
So think of a way that you might describe it.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, so you walk over.
I like rush over and I'm like arms spread, like no weapons in hand, but very clearly like putting my frail human body in between Acrylic's mech and the Skoko forces, like very clearly like.
Wait, acrylics are starlings.
Oh, excuse me, starlings. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So over the over a public comms channel, you hear a woman's voice, and she says, "All right, so now what?" Are you? What is this? And the voice before from the mobile fortress says, "Yeah, what's going on here?"
I think Saint Bernard like barks out. A lot easier if we share a drink and talk this out. Come on down. Send someone over, and we'll get this sorted.
What do you want to roll for that?
I think I'm.
The gnats on your tail have been taken care of as well.
Yeah. I guess sway is probably the most honest thing here.
Okay. And acrylic, was that you assisting?
Yes.
Okay, so mark that stress for the assist. And Saint Bernard.
And I'll push myself.
Yeah, I think this is going to be desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're the only one not in a mech at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I do think that mine is like at least going to be opening the cockpit to her mech, but considering that just got burned, it's probably not climbing out immediately. It's a bit hot.
Mm-hmm.
Austin, do you have I can't remember what the
Collateral
card is.
die?
Yeah, do you have a collateral die to offer here? Push me up to 4. Or no, this will just push me up to 3 because I have 0 in swag.
Yeah.
I'm also happy to assist, but I'm just not sure what that would look like.
Well, only one person can assist at a time. If more than that are helping, it's probably a group action.
Yeah, like I do think that I would be wanting to help, honestly.
There's a good case to be made that a group action is the smarter way to do
Yeah.
this.
I
Okay.
would be part of a
If
group
this is a
action.
group sway,
of
I'm so
sway.
sorry. I have 0 in sway.
I mean, I also
one.
have 0, but this is definitely what
Okay.
Seven Hells will be doing.
I have the only one with
So
sway. Okay.
I guess it's a group sway then. Acrylic brought up like clearing off the pursuers. Saint Bernard is saying like everyone needs to calm down and have a beer. What are Baby and Starling adding to this conversation?
I think Starling's just keeping on the same idea of, look, everyone just wants their home to be safe. I think we can sort this out. You don't need to fight about it. None of you are planning on fighting each other before now anyway.
And Baby, what are you saying?
So we're trying to lure everybody to like a sit down, kind of discussion of what's happening. I think Baby is just going to try to make it as appealing as possible. Like he's sort of going to, like again, just we've done so much hollow projecting stuff. He's going to show how amazing this meeting is going to be. Did you see how comfortable our tent is? And we got donuts from the best place in Skoko City.
That's a flashback. Too stress.
Yeah, that's right. Flashback for snacks.
Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna make it appealing.
Is there some of that that's almost like, and there's also footnotes of like testimonials of like, hey, we've been doing this for a while. Lots of people have called on us to do this sort of thing.
That's right. It's a big sort of data dump of our PowerPoint profile, and it's like, click
Right.
this link for these satisfied customers. We brokered such an amazing deal, and we saved so much money in armor and rebuilding costs that it was so worthwhile making an agreement.
Like forget about not having your town destroyed. There's a way you can come out ahead on this.
Yeah. Do you know that these guys are looking for spare parts, and you've got parts to spare?
Exactly.
Okay. So everybody, oh wait, who's the leader on this? It sounded like it was either Saint Bernard or Starling.
Saint Bernard has more stress to put into
Yeah,
it.
I was definitely the one that instigated, so I think it makes sense for me to be the leader.
Okay. Everybody roll sway.
1.
Love it.
Oh, there's no way to help with this, right? We can't.
That's impressive.
You can't assist each other. No. You can push yourself.
Okay, well, I think that's what I have to do because I've got 0, so I'm going to push myself with 2 stress for 1 die.
Yep.
Okay. Dun, 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 2 stress. No problem there.
Wow.
Oh my god.
This is where all the 6s got stolen from.
So-
I'm gonna push myself as well just to get one more die. Can I?
No, you've
No.
already
Okay.
rolled.
How much stress do I take here?
You take 3 because you are
Yeah.
the only. Wait. Was that
No.
2d6? That was a 0.
So,
So that was
yeah,
a 1.
I got a 1. I got
So
the
no
lowest roll
one
too.
succeeded.
Yeah.
Wow. That's like
Wait.
genuinely impressively bad luck.
Brendan didn't succeed.
That was a
No.
0 die. Keep
Oh,
the
because
lowest
you had.
one.
Oh no.
Yeah, because I had 0.
Wow.
Guys.
Oh boy.
So I take 4 stress.
You do.
Okay.
And there's a consequence, which I will say is risky because most of y'all are actually in your vehicles. Only
Yep.
Saint Bernard is not.
Yep.
God, what is it that happens here?
Oh my god.
Oh, okay. I know what it is that happens. The Avis from Skoko, they open up, and the people inside of them climb out, and the mobile fortress like lowers, sort of settles to the ground, and like a elevator lowers the rest of the way, and a delegation comes out, and they meet you all at your tent, and nobody looks happy about this. So one of the people who's in the mobile fortress delegation is a very large-bodied, dark-skinned guy, and he says, "All right, you've got us here. Where are the beers?" And the the other group comes out, and the woman leading them is like a white woman, so like a muscular body, and she says, "And I heard there were donuts. What? From Skoko, no less?"
I think Seven Hells just tries to give as winning a smile as he can and says, "Right this way," and heads to the cooler.
All right, so you've got them to the pavilion. No one is happy.
I hate it when like the thing you give us when we fuck up that bad is the thing that we were trying to do. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun for you. It's very stressful.
I don't want to hear it.
To be clear, y'all are in a desperate position.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah, I think I got out of my mech and I'm joining the crew now.
Yeah. Definitely getting out of mech.
Okay, so
Okay.
what's the situation under the pavilion like?
I would like to invoke my Read 'em and Weep move.
Okay, what does that do?
It says spend 2 stress to ask one of the following questions about someone you have observed either in secret or openly. To ask additional questions, you may spend 1 stress per question. What was their lowest moment? What do they crave forgiveness of and from whom? What are their secret pains? And in what way are their mind and soul vulnerable? I think I'm going to spend 3 total stress to ask 2 of these questions.
All right,
I'm
who are you asking them about?
I'm
Yeah.
I'm to assume that this is Sal, this big man.
It's a safe guess.
Okay, I'm kind of like watching him carefully.
Yeah, no one. To be clear, no one has introduced themselves. They're all just like looking at each other, pissed off.
And the questions I'm trying to get out of him are what are his secret pains and in what ways are his mind and soul vulnerable? Because like I figured that if he went through the trouble to steal a big walking fortress, that he had some like really good reason to do so, and I'm trying to like get a read on him.
Okay, his secret pains. And how is he vulnerable? Okay, so his what you realize from like the way he holds himself is that he has a great deal of shame about how the GCB has had to survive since taking the mobile fortress. Like they have had to like beg, barter, and steal, and a lot of that last one. But because they are just like the one fortress, and it's not even fully functioning. A lot of the times they've been stealing from, the vulnerable places like Skoko, frankly.
Mhm.
And so he's vulnerable because he wants, like, the fortress was meant to be a symbol for the people of Izia, for them to flock to it, and they absolutely did not. Right? They scattered, and they formed their own little squads and groups, looking out for their own best interests. And so he's tired in a sense, but mostly just disappointed and ashamed. But he certainly isn't going to let anyone see that who doesn't have your sensibilities.
Is that also how he is vulnerable?
Yeah, the like vulnerability is that they want people on their side, and they don't have it. And he hurts because he's ashamed of having to have stolen from his fellow Isians. And even I think he's even ashamed of having to have stolen from like off-worlder communities that were like defenseless, or essentially defenseless in the face of a mobile fortress.
Yeah. I think she's getting all of this information by sketching him in a notebook and just kind of like analyzing kind of how he's like carrying himself.
All right, well, at least if this goes well, there will be a commemorative image of this historic moment.
Found at the burnt out wreckage of the pavilion.
No.
Yeah. I think that as people are like sitting down and such, Mina is going to very determinedly like start introducing herself and the squad, and then open up and then like try and get them to at least introduce themselves in as an opening to, can you at least say who you are, please, so we can start talking.
Yeah, all right. So the woman, she just like glares for a bit until the guy says, all right, I'm Salvatore Tomanovsky, leader of the Great Crimson Brigade. Let's try and work this out. And the woman, she says, Hannah Copeland. And,
You re-
oh, go ahead.
if she pauses for any length of time, mine is going to prompt, do you represent Skoko or
Represent them? You mean like Skoko doesn't have a government? Are you kidding? I'm just doing my part.
as their head of defense?
Again, you assume a level of organization that does not exist. We are but a militia.
Half of one. However you choose to frame it. Okay. So you represent yourself and you're from Skoko. Is that
Yeah,
more accurate?
it is.
Okay.
Can I have relayed what I learned about Sal, like on a private channel?
Yeah, as a load 0 item, y'all can have the throat mics, which lets you communicate subvocally, essentially whispering in each other's ears.
Yeah, I want to have given that information to them.
Yeah, okay. Salvatore, he says, well, if they're not even like in charge of anything in Skoko, I don't see why we're talking.
Do you wish to kill them, or because if we do not talk, I believe that's the only outcome that is left.
That sounds like a roll to me. What are you rolling for this?
Man, that's a great question.
I'm just gonna say it does not sound like consort to me.
No, it doesn't sound like consort. I could see arguments for both sway and command. I am better at sway, which means I tend to lean towards it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does the position or effect change based on which of those I pick, or is that just about how it's being presented?
I think it's more about how it's being presented. I think because like the way what you said could be like said with a tone of like, let's all, let's try and talk through this, or it could be you trying to shame him, right? So I think it could be either one.
Can I help by like relaying that specific information as she's talking?
Yeah, you pass that information along that you got. So I think that that absolutely counts as an assist. So mark your stress.
Cool.
So yeah, you could do sway or command. Either one would be desperate standard.
Okay. I don't think I'm trying to shame him. So I think that's more sway. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Let's just roll this. 2d6. Let's go. That's a 6.
Hell yeah.
That is a
Wonderful.
6.
I've missed those. Even the lesser one would still have been a success if mixed, so that's nice.
Hell yes.
Okay. So I am going to start a second clock.
Love to see some clocks.
So the 4-tick clock is going to be Tempers Boil Over. And then the 6-tick clock above it is going to be Brokering Peace. Or, well, Ceasefire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's get a color that pops a bit more. Oh, that's a bit harsh. There.
I think it's just aligned a little odd on the like gray lines too, which isn't helping.
Yeah, we'll make. There we go.
Those
All
are
right,
some
so
lovely colors.
gonna add 2 ticks to the ceasefire clock. So you say that, and the he doesn't like quite deflate, but there's definitely like an exhaustion that begins to show in Salvatore. And so he says, all right, yeah, talking to anyone about this is fine. And he pulls, there's a table under the pavilion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he pulls a chair out and he has a seat, and he like gestures with his hand at the seat across from him while looking at Hannah. And she like considers it and then gives a small nod and sits across the table from him. And she says, "So what do you want?" And he says, "What do you got to spare?" She says, "To spare? Nothing. Are you kidding?" Anyone want to step in here? Baby, what do you do? Actually, Baby, what are you doing? We've been a minute since we've heard what Baby's up to.
That's a great question. And I was just sitting here in my mech trying to think what help I could be in this situation. Can Baby have done a flashback to maybe find somebody in Skoko who is willing to step up and make a deal and maybe kind of have more of a leadership structure? Because I feel like that would be so helpful here.
Sure, I think that'll be a 2-stress flashback, because that's sort of like a unlikely series of events, but not impossible. And what do you want to roll to try and have found someone to do that?
Um, maybe it is just study. Um, he had some he had some contacts and he um, did some footwork to find the right person, and they were really off the books, but he found the equivalent of their Hotmail address and reached out and got some great results. So he can pull this person out of his pocket to say, yeah, this person's actually got some fuel that they can spare and some good parts that they're willing to part with for a good price.
Well, in terms of parts, I was going to offer them the wrecked mechs that we just defeated.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yes. What was I saying? This person's actually an herbalist, and they have some medical supplies.
Nice.
Okay. So yeah, give me that study roll.
Can I assist?
I think this will be for this flashback. Oh, so sorry, who said they wanted to assist?
That was Saint Bernard.
So you went with Baby into town?
Yeah, I think maybe with a little more knowledge of unsavory contacts and how to get people to talk that don't necessarily want to talk.
Okay.
In that regard.
All right. I think this would have been controlled standard. Actually, I think it's controlled limited because study. Because you're trying to like find someone who's willing to talk, but you're just sort of like scrutinizing everyone.
Yeah. Sure. Let's go for it. So 2d6.
Or a d6 and standard effect.
Oh, sure.
Whichever you want.
Okay, yeah, let's go with a standard effect. And I'll just roll one die. It's a
Nice.
5.
That's pretty good.
Okay. So the person that you found, like y'all hear the sound of a like Jeep engine as the person that Baby and Saint Bernard met up with earlier is arriving. Now that things have calmed down some, and it's a member of the community, like one of the community leaders of Skoko, and also a member of the teachers union. And
Nice.
this is Thunderclips Not Nice. And so they have like a pale brown skin and like poofy hair and like a voluptuous body, and they're wearing like a old like army fatigues, and they've got on like a burn mask covering like part of their face. And so they pull up in a Jeep, and they say, I'm glad to see that things have calmed down some. Things are going well, I suppose. And the consequence... Oh, actually, here's the thing. You were in a controlled position, so you get to hear what the consequence is before it comes into effect, or you can decide to reject your success if you don't like the consequence. And the consequence is that I'm going to put 1 tick into the Temper's clock because Hannah does not like thunderclips.
Well, that's okay
So,
with me. I don't like Hannah.
all right. So I'm going to put 1 tick into that Temper's clock. All right. So she sees them and she just like snorts derisively and says, "You don't speak for Skoko. You're not even from Skoko. What do you know?" And they say, "Well, enough people in the town respect me to listen to me over you most of the time." And they pull up a seat and like pointedly sit down next to Hannah, like digging at her a bit by their presence.
I think Mina is going to just very mildly say, Hannah, you did say you didn't represent Skoko. So, if you represent your opinions, I believe that, did Thunderclip introduce himself?
They use
Herself?
they them pronouns.
Themselves?
And yeah, so I guess when they arrived, they introduced they said their name, and then
Okay.
they said that they were a member of the teachers union and a representative from Skoko.
Okay. So yeah, mine would be saying like, you did say that you only represented your own opinion, Hannah, or well, actually Miss Copeland. If the Thunderclip here says that they have been asked to represent the town, I believe that I am at least am willing to listen to them as well.
What? I suppose. Actually, yeah, give me a roll.
Okay.
What do you think that is?
That one feels more like consort than sway, like, because that's more in the like make a good impression, social graces kind of thing. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not particularly trying to convince her of anything other than like this person also has a right to be here, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think with Baby's success of bringing Thunderclips here, y'all are now in a risky position. So that'll
Okay.
be risky standard.
Okay. I have 2d6. Oh, and I think I'm okay with that 2d6. Okay. Wow, that's another
Yes.
6.
Nice. All right. So I'll add 2 ticks to the ceasefire clock. And Salvatore says, "All right, so I'm supposed to be talking to you then. Well, I guess both of you, I suppose. One of you representing the community and one of you representing the rest. So we could use any supplies you're willing to spare." And Thunderclips basically echoes what Hannah said earlier. Like, we don't have a lot to spare. The community is in the midst of rebuilding after civil infrastructure was let to fall apart for a number of years. We're just starting to get back onto our feet. Anyone want to?
Can I do what I was suggesting earlier?
Which is?
I want to get my. I think I want to use my remote vehicle control to have my mech, which is called Chiron, by the way. I didn't mention that earlier. To start like basically dragging the wrecked iron stars into a big pile and be like, oh well, here's some supplies.
Yeah. Okay. What do you want to roll for that?
Would that be a sway?
Yeah.
Or
Sway.
would that be more of like a maneuver, like being able to like control my vehicle to do this?
What? Um. y-
But I guess it's more of the social effect that I'm trying to get.
Well. Yeah. This will be if you use sway, it'll be risky standard. If you use one of your vehicle actions, it'll be risky limited because
Gotcha.
you're doing things into through a remote vehicle control, which gives you reduced effect.
Fair. Yeah, I'll just do this way then. Oh, I also wanted to mention, this is not important, but I imagine that Whimsy is wearing like equestrian like gear, but like her like tight pants are like camo.
I think I ran into you at Walmart last week.
Oh no.
Would it be possible for? Okay,
Oh, whoops.
you already rolled.
Yep, 4.
All right. So, all right, I'm gonna give that 2 consequences, which are that tempers flare a bit, and your argument isn't as successful as you might think, because Salvatore, he says, well, we were already going to take those, obviously. We are the ones that took them out after all, and we need them clearly more than a little community here.
She scoffs
And
when they say that they took out the mechs.
and Hannah says, well, those mechs are within Skoko's area of control, so clearly that salvage belongs to us. And Thunderclips just sort of like says, I would have to agree with Hannah on this point, but I suppose we could allow some of that salvage to go to you. So there's some disagreement about what to do with this salvage. And who gets it?
Are you just looking for more parts of any type, or are there specific parts of the salvage that each of you would find more beneficial? I'm never quite sure with salvage.
Let's see.
Because obviously it could be melted down for raw materials, or you have specific uses for parts. Perhaps there are elements that each of you would find most of use.
Yeah, what do you want to roll for that?
For suggesting that kind of thing?
Yeah, of like divvying up that the salvage of who gets what, because at this point, like, they all want all of it, right? Except for
Yes.
Thunderclips, who is maybe willing to let the fortress take some, but
Yeah.
But also they showed up without a mech.
Yeah. Mine is also definitely not going to make the argument that Amity took out a fair number of them. That's not an argument she thinks it's useful to make.
Mm-hmm.
Like sway is the you negotiate. Like literally in the scriptures, you might negotiate better ceasefire terms.
Perfect. Yeah.
It is.
Uh,
So I think that's what I'm
Well,
going.
isn't there something to the argument that like if we didn't try to get them to talk this through in the first place, they just would have like stormed through and just took whatever they wanted?
There
Like
might be something to that argument. This is not the line that Mina tends to go for because, on the one hand, yes, that's true. On the other hand, sometimes reminding people that they could be crushed very easily doesn't make them more inclined to play nice
I mean more
or
so
at least
calling out
feel good
Sal.
about it.
Because I kind of uncovered that he was vulnerable in
That's
the sense
true.
that he feels bad about having to like pillage so much.
That's true. That also sounds like it's more likely to up the Temper's flare clock. Um,
We almost got the ceasefire clock filled though.
this is true.
I would
Um,
say that taking that line that Devin suggested could be a collateral die with ticking the Temper's clock by 1.
Uh-huh. I'm rolling 2d6 as a base, so
What's the position and effect?
yeah. Is it
It'll
like
be
some?
risky standard.
Okay.
Could I maybe assist, like for great effect? Do we need that to fill the clock?
We only have 1 tick
No.
left of the ceasefire clock.
Oh, okay.
So long as I get a success, it will be filled. If you wanted to assist and give me an extra die without taking the collateral, that would be the more helpful kind of assist.
Okay, I'm
So I'm
on
happy.
it.
So
So baby, how are you assisting Starling?
So we're trying to um, get Sal to kind of think the best of things and be like, oh yeah, I really don't want to crush these guys.
well, we're trying to get to Sal and Hannah to agree to divvy up the salvage equitably. I mean, maybe
it-
Baby could just like Baby has knowledge of both the military and the civilian aspects, right? So like maybe they can actually offer suggestions for how that would work.
Sure, yeah, it's like a again another one of these little holographic projectors, and he's already crunched the numbers, and he gives a really appealing layout of like, look, you can get all of this, and you guys will still have all these pieces that are very useful, like a little spreadsheet.
Yeah, that looks good.
Great. Yeah. Okay. So mark your stress for assisting with that, baby.
I just
Nice.
did.
Okay, so I'm rolling
Okay.
3d6 risky standard. That's a 5.
That's a 5. Okay. So the clock fills, and actually both clocks fill. Unless anyone wants to resist the Temper's clock.
I will try to do that.
How are you going to resist that?
I think I am using force of personality to sort of, by dint of being someone who has been in the military and who feels more assured about his position in this particular circumstance, is just trying to get people to be like, um, pointing at Coleman, let him talk, pointing at Sal, wait your turn, pointing at Thunderclips, not now, just sort of like trying to enforce some rule of law on the discussions.
And passing out
Okay.
donuts.
I understand this, and also I am worried for you.
Yeah.
I
be really
say
funny
this
if you
as
had a
someone who
donut
is also
fire
going to
in the-
go, yes, I will resist, and who is better at that specific kind of resist.
Sure.
Yeah. How much stress
But-
are you at, St. Bernard?
7.
Okay. This is a resolve
I would.
resist.
You've already said you're taking it, so go for it. I worry deeply.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I get a collateral die on this?
No.
No, you cannot get
No,
collateral
it's a
dice on
resist,
resist. Yeah.
right. Okay, well.
Nice.
Dang.
That's
Good job.
a
Woof.
5. You only take 1 stress.
Good job not trying out on that.
Just shoves a
No,
donut into
good
my
job,
mouth,
Monty.
just feeding on the sugar.
Wow.
Are you like stress eating donuts?
Oh, 100%.
Did you make any of the donuts?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I was suggesting that we had a fryer in the pavilion for peace talks, because donuts are always good to have at important meetings.
I guess that makes sense with Hannah's like
Yeah.
disbelief that you bought them in Skoko.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
Everything
okay.
is good.
There's Coco style.
Yeah, so I think that's exactly what happens. Is like they start like bargaining over like who gets what out of the salvage, and Saint Bernard like keeps a lid on things, telling people to shut up when they need to shut up, and telling other people to like coax some words out of them when they seem unsure. And this deal gets made. And so like Salvatore says, "All right, I think that sounds good. We'll take the higher end parts and some of the salvage, some of the and the weaponry, and you'll get the armor plating and the other raw materials as needed." And everyone walks away happy. And he stands up and holds his hand out, and Thunderclips says, "Yes, that sounds like it'll work out well for everyone." And shakes Sal's hand. Hannah just like there's a pause as like the other two look at her, and
Shake his hand, soldier.
she stands up and she says, "Yeah, that's fine." And she just like turns and walks away. She doesn't shake anybody's hand. But her and her 2 pilots, they like get back in their AVs and they start walking away.
Okay.
And
7 looks at the others and just sort of shrugs, eats another donut.
Mm-hmm.
All's well.
I think Baby finally comes down and lands next to the pavilion. Says, "Does anybody need a lift back?"
Yes, I'm trashed.
Let me take a look at that.
Thank you.
Shall we head back to the
I would
bar?
also ask Thunderclips if they need any help getting the salvage back to Skoko. I was kind of assuming that Sal has the resources to get the salvage to the fortress.
Sal says, "Don't worry about that. We got the people and the gear needed to get the salvage together. We'll load it up onto the fortress and then move the fortress closer to Skoko. Not into town. Don't worry. And we'll dump what we're not taking and let them sort through it at their leisure and then get the heck out of here."
Okay.
They're
Wanted
going to
something-
keep following you.
They have been following us since we stole the fortress. It's why we hide and why we need these supplies. I know.
Wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have to hide so much?
Would.
Yeah,
guys had
that
a
would
better
be
reputation.
fantastic. But I mean, I don't see us convincing any of the off-worlders that they just want to let this fortress roam around freely around around Izia.
Well, maybe if you offered yourself up as protection, you could get resources a more honorable way.
Maybe if you had a group that was good at negotiating deals for that sort of thing, might be able to get something secured.
And Baby sends
Oh.
over one of the little business card hand holoprojectors with all like a
Yeah.
resume of satisfied customers.
Just, think about it. No need to make up your mind right now. You've
He
got other
takes the
things.
business card and he looks at it and he laughs. He says, "Is that the whole reason that you four are here? Is just to push your PR firm?"
Well, I like bringing peace where we can. There's enough war. We don't need to have all the little battles to save some lives in the process.
I've heard of aggressive marketing tactics, but this takes the cake. All right. We'll probably be in touch at some point. I imagine that even if we can't turn mercenary like you suggested, having someone who can speak well of us, it'll do the GCB wonders.
Yes. You seem like quite reasonable people when you have the chance to prove it.
We try to be. We're not looking for anything other than just the liberation of the Isians.
Just that.
Just
Yeah.
that.
It's an understandable goal.
And he holds his hand out to you, Starling.
Yeah, I will shake it.
And I think we can probably end the mission there.
Yeah.
If,
Good game.
unless there's any last scenes anyone wants to do.
I feel like that is the mission
Yeah.
complete we were looking for.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else. That's a good shot for me to end on.
Yeah.
Good game, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I suppose because there's obviously like end of mission stuff that we could do for like reward and entanglements and so forth. But this being a one shot, it's not really worth the effort. So why don't we go back to the talk screen and do our outros and just finish up a bit early so we don't need to go all the way to 8 p.m.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So just as a reminder to everyone listening, this is the Roll Plus Bond 72-hour charity stream. I think we're probably about halfway through it at this point. And it is to raise money for RISIS, which is the largest immigration legal services nonprofit in Texas, focusing on underserved immigrant children, families, and refugees. It was founded in 1986 as the Refugee Aid Project by community activists in South Texas. It works to defend the most vulnerable among us through their crisis management, legal services, social services, and advocacy work. If you want to know more about them, you can find them at racistexas.org, which is RAICES Texas.org, or on Twitter at racistexas. And if you hit !donate in chat, you can find the link to donate to this wonderful cause. I have. Oh, someone want to say something?
Well, I was just going to add that there's a few free copies of games available for some of the donors. Ocean Tides, which is a super fun game that I love to play, and everybody's favorite Stew Pot. So you can, if you donate, you can put yourself in a pool to potentially receive one of those.
Yeah. And I'd just like to read out some of the donations that we got during the stream. So from Magical, we got a $5 donation for the $5 diplomacy booth that y'all set up. From Vapor, we got a $20 donation. From Evan, we got a $30 donation. From Nice, we got a $14 donation, and they say nice.
Nice.
From A Red
Nice.
Hell, we got $30.04, and they say, "Gosh darn it all, we're doing good," and we certainly are. And from Hey, let's. Unfortunately, the donation system cuts off the rest of the word that starts with a letter P. I'm going to say that's party. They donated $15.15, and they say, "My armor is Saint Bernard."
Nice.
I'm here for you.
Yeah. So, I am Austin Ramsey. I was your host and GM for this segment. Coming up next is Armor Astur Advent for another 4-hour block and another mech game. That one by Briar Sovereign, and Beam Saber was by me. You can find me on Twitter at NotAnIn. And Beam Saber is actually launching on Kickstarter tomorrow, which is March 2nd. And you can find it at tinyurl.com/BeamSaberKickstarter. There's going to be lots of good stuff there. And there's a couple of limited opportunity tiers. So hop on that quick if you can. And I have been joined for this wonderful one-shot by Cole.
Hey, I'm Cole. This was great fun. I'm so glad I had a chance to play this. You can find me elsewhere on the internet at Breathing Dreams on Twitter.
Wonderful to have you with us. Also with us is Maddie.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I finally got to play Beam Saber. What a bunch of fun, y'all. And I'm not on Twitter.
Bless.
Fair.
Well, you might not be on Twitter, but we're glad that you're here. And also with us is Brendan.
Thank you so much to my other players, and thank you so much, Austin, for the great game. Looking forward to the Kickstarter. You can find me at _Sulcata on Twitter.
It was my pleasure. And last but never least, Devin.
Hi, I'm Devin. I'm at Devin Decibel on Twitter. And since we're ending early, you're probably listening to a bunch of the music in between the streams. The music was composed by me. And if you like it, you should check me out at devindecibel.bandcamp.com. Also, I wanted to shout out Magical. This was kind of their whole idea in the first place. It was really funny when we were talking amongst ourselves about how to celebrate the first year anniversary of this server, and they said, "Oh, we should do like a 12-hour stream." And it's so funny now thinking about like what is actually happening and how much ambition ended up taking this much further. And this has been incredible.
Absolutely. All right. So, from everyone here, as in Amity Inc., I'm just going to say farewell for now and donate if you can. Stick around because there's more great mech gaming and donating coming up in just a few minutes. Have a good
Bye,
evening.
y'all.
Peace.
Bye.
Good game, everyone. See you next time.